Kilda hosts North Melbourne. The Saints looking to make inroads back into the top four in the competition. The Roos coming off a difficult week, looking to take one of the scalps of a finals-bound side in season 2022. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Joel Peterson with you as you join us throughout South Australia and the Northern Territory. This round 11 clash to kick off a Sunday at the football. Subs are in. Jack Marnie for North Melbourne, Ryan Burns for St Kilda. No late changes for either side. And of course, the welcome to country and the pre-match ceremony unfolding beneath us. Andrew Mays is alongside me. G'day, Maysy.
Hello, Joel. Beautiful afternoon in Melbourne. Unfortunately, the roof is shut as usual here at the Docklands, but just the way that these new stadiums, and we're seeing the lighting upgrades, they are outstanding now in being able to create a picture of darkness and a focus on the important welcome to country as well.
Absolutely. Before we introduce our experts, we might take a bit of the ceremony as Sir Doug Nicholls' round continues.
It goes like this.
Giga Gambola, Giga Namoje, Giga Namoje, Giga Namoje, Gambola Coolin, Giga Namoje, Giga Namoje, Gambola Coolin, Giga Namoje, Gambola Coolin, Gambola Coolin, Gambola Coolin, Giga Namoje.
Thank you, everybody. To North Melbourne boys, good to see you. Well done. Good luck today. To the Saints, go to Saints. Love you guys. All the best.
Great to have Nicky Winmar part of the pre-match ceremony down at ground level as both sides line up on the broadcast wing. St Kilda and North Melbourne, our match for broadcast. Lauren Borden's on the boundary to join us shortly. We're in good hands with our experts on grandstand AFL Collingwood Premiership player and Saints champion Luke Ball's with us. G'day, Bally.
G'day, Joel. Yeah, great to be here. And it's great that he's spread over 2 rounds now, isn't it? And Nicky Winmar, I just missed him, unfortunately, at the Saints, but what a player he was. A much-loved figure down at the Saints. And both teams today, there's going to be plenty of Indigenous talent running out there for us to enjoy watching play today. So, yeah, great to be here.
And he's represented on the Saints jumper as well, is Nicky Winmar, which is a nice touch from the St Kilda Football Club. And making his debut on Grandstand AFL is Coleman medal-winning Cat. We've handed over the jumper to him for the first time this afternoon. Tom Hawkins is with us. Great to have you with us, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. This is, I was telling the crew before, this is only my second live game since I've been an AFL player, so I'm looking forward to sitting back and critiquing players and teams at a different eye level.
We're looking forward to having you with us. First of all, you've played both of these sides. We'll get your reflections on them shortly. But just the Sir Doug Nicholls round and being a part of some of these ceremonies and seeing what it means to I guess, recognise that Indigenous contribution to our game, not only to the players but to society more broadly. It's become a real fixture in the calendar. One, I guess, as a player, you must be really proud and pretty inspired to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely, and we were lucky enough to have our 2 games down at Geelong on Wadawurrung country. We did some special things during the week, which again highlights the Aboriginal culture and what big part of that they've played in the game. So it's special. It's lovely to be a part of, and again, we're going to see that again today.
You took on the Saints a couple of weeks ago, Tom. They come in 7th today, 7-3, 118% on the season. A good win against the Crows last week, a last quarter blitz. 6 goals from Max King propelled them to victory. What have you seen from St Kilda, including, we may not talk about the result when you played them, but the way that they went about it?
You mentioned Max King. I'm excited to watch him today. He's a great talent, great young talent. But for me, it was their pressure around the footy. We talk and we hear about their pressure that they bring. So for me, whether North Melbourne can handle that pressure and be able to control the ball off the back of that's going to be an interesting tussle. So they like to control it themselves, but they also have a really nice balance of being able to play fast, which we are under the roof here today at Marvel. That's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, it's a real hallmark of their game, the Saints, isn't it? That's the difference between when they're at their very best is when they are applying that manic pressure around the ball. Maisie, we were here last week. We saw the Kangaroos ultimately go down pretty comfortably to Melbourne, but they had periods throughout that game where they were able to apply really strong pressure as well, and they were terrific out of the centre bounce at periods through that game. At one stage, I think late in the third quarter, they were only a goal down, and then the strength of Melbourne kicked away. But you just hope, and they've had a really tough week, clearly, the Kangaroos internally at the footy club. They've had the spotlight on them all week, so good to see that behind their goals, it looks like there's even though it's a Saints home game, there's a lot of blue and white that have turned out. So you'd expect a response. You'd expect them to have a crack early, and hopefully that augurs well for a decent game. And great to see. Then I counted. So there's 13, I think, 7 from the Saints and 6 Indigenous representatives from the Kangaroos. So wonderful exchange of gifts in the middle. And the skipper, Jack Zeeble, playing his 250th game. What a fantastic warrior he's been as well.
Yeah, there's a few layers baked into this afternoon. We'll touch on all of that throughout the broadcast. Let's go downstairs and soak in some of the atmosphere with Lauren Borden, who's there for us on Grandstand AFL. Afternoon, Loz.
Good afternoon, Joel. Really nice to be down here. You mentioned Jack Zeeble in his 250th game, who did win the toss, meaning North will kick to the Coventry end of the Docklands Stadium. A nice atmosphere down here, even though there aren't too many fans in here. It's not too packed, the stadium, but pleasant conditions. It's about 15 degrees outside, which means it's really nice down here. Everyone really enjoyed the individual ceremonies, I think, that we've seen throughout the Sir Doug Nicholls round, so it'll be good to see how this one goes today.
Absolutely, it will, Loz. Bully and Tom, a tip before we get started?
I think the favourite, I think the Saints will win, but hopefully North, the start's critical. They need to hit the scoreboard early.
Yeah, Saints for me. Interested to see how the Roos can handle the pressure, but they have got a good history against the Saints, so winning 4 of the last 5, so we'll see how it goes.
How do the Roos respond? Let's see on Grandstand AFL with Andrew Mays.
Goldstein tried to win it down to Anderson, knocked out of his hands. Ryder becomes a tackler on Anderson. Now Owens comes through. He was smothered in a big collision, tapped it almost to the advantage of Ross. Instead, a big tackle laid by Goldstein. Nice intent shown by the North midfield early. Locked up in the middle, another bounce. Tossed up. Goldstein down, away from Anderson that time. Zeeble in his 250th. Might have caught one in the back. Umpire waves play on. Just got a boot to ball. Now McDonald. He's tackled immediately. Ball going nowhere. Third ball up in a row coming up.
Mitch Owens in there on the tackle for the Saints. Into the side this week for his second game after playing here in round 1 against Collingwood. Crouch, he's been important in the last couple of weeks with the out of steel through injury. Kick went forward, bounced its way back to Davies Uniacke, who kicks to half forward through the hands of Horn Francis. Taron Thomas is there, so too Sinclair for the Saints. Paddles it forward from centre half back, ricochets around to Simpkin, trying to get a handball on the up. Good tackle, Zeeble, wrapped up Gresham, wasn't going anywhere. And we'll have a ball up at the point of the square. North Melbourne into attack. No score through the opening minute.
Haven't as yet been inside 50 for either team. Another ball up. Goldstein and Ryder win it down. Zeeble over the top. Goldstein tries to rip it free. Ball held to him. Another stoppage to take place. A lot of action in the centre square to start this one. Another ball up. Goldstein won it down. Zeeble in there again. Was looking for the hand pass. Instead was ripped off the footy. Hill in for the Saints. Anderson onto him. And another ball up. I reckon we're at about number 7 at the moment, and we've only made it to centre half forward.
Well, Hill called it before the start of the game. Pressure high early, both sides really sticking their tackles. It's good.
Here's Goldstein spinning through the traffic. Handball to Zeeble. He thought he was held. Umpire didn't agree. McKenzie, kick taken by Perez. Got it away to Thomas. Hooks it around the body. High to the goal line. They fly. Larky's up. Can't take it with him. Handball loses for the Saints. Taylor around the body for North. And Howard's on the last line to pick that one off for St Kilda, right on the Aboriginal flag in the goal square.
I think it was Wilkie got out of jail then, didn't he? The no-look handball deep in defence to no one, really, straight to a North player.
Howard exits now to Wood, playing against his former side. Paid the advantage, kicks Long down the wing, finds Long.
And Long thought about going. He just got around his opponent, pulls the kick into the pocket. It's out in front there of King, who gets to it and paddles it across for a boundary throw-in. Forward pocket, chance for Saints here early.
Looks like Josh Walker's got the King matchup. Walker, ex-teammate of yours.
Yeah, he is, and Aiden Core coming back to support. The Saints have got to be a little bit careful not to be too Max King-centric today.
On that occasion, Ryder won it down, then taken off the ball. Goldstein, was he held too long? No, it's paid a throw. Good tackle by Anderson. Anderson to take the free kick. Right back pocket, little indecisive on the way out. He's turned it over to Ross, not what he should have taken. Got to his feet though. Hand pass is okay to Membry. Just puts it to the hot spot, all the way to the square, and Walker's there to double fist it out of play. We'll have another ball inside the forward pocket for the Saints.
And from King's point of view, he doesn't want to get into a wrestle too much. He needs to use his athleticism today. Have a run and jump. Walker, experienced, big, strong body. Did well then. You'd love to see him back himself and take the mark in that situation, but good first contest.
Umpire flings it back in. Goldstein's over the top of Ryder, through the hands of Perez. Might have dragged Owens down without it. Now to Simpkin for the Roos. Got it away to Young. Kick tries to clear the defensive 50. It bounces its way out toward McKenzie. Might have been held onto by Taylor. Slips the tackle, runs to 40, puts it on the left. That's a superb goal. Dan McKenzie doesn't kick many, just the 10th in his 72nd game, and that was a beauty as he slipped a couple of tackles and finished nicely on the run for the first of the game. One straight six. The Roos yet to score through 4 minutes of the opening term.
Become a bit of an unsung hero in this team, Dan McKenzie. I think in previous years he's been a little bit of a whipping boy in and out of the team, but if you ask Saints supporters, he's become a bit of a mainstay, one of the first magnets on the board. Just a role player, has a crack, nothing too flashy about him, although that was a brilliant bit of play. Interesting
great strength in the contest, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Just a couple of missed tackles. They've stuck tackles to this point, but it just shows you if you miss a couple of tackles. But yeah, terrific individual performance.
Back in the middle, Saints by a goal after 4 minutes. Clearance this time for Davies Uniac. Lovely dummy after the hand pass got to Goldstein. Got around one. Went towards Thomas, who almost took the mark. Zeeble front and centre. Kick off the left. Into the pocket. Zerha turns inside out. Just needs to get back onto his right. He does. He fell over. But he's still got boot to ball and answers right back. Goal apiece after 5 minutes here on Grandstand AFL.
He's a very exciting prospect, young Cam Zerha. I like watching him play. His ability to be able to mark the ball overhead, but then what is a real strength of his is his ability to be able to compete on the ground. He's clean, he's smart, and that's a beautiful finish.
He just snuck out the back, didn't he? He read that well. There was a big contest at centre-half lovely work forward. Lovely clearance work from Todd Goldstein out of the middle. Zerha, which is a smart forward, didn't go to where the massive numbers was, just snuck out the back and the grubber kick forward had him into space.
And you don't need to go and get to the contest if you can't impact it. It's really smart forward play.
He's a barometer for them, isn't he? If he's up and going early, he can put 2 or 3 in quick time.
Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins, your experts on Grandstand AFL. 14th goal in 6 weeks for Cam Zerha. He is in good form. Roos with a clearing kick, but it's going to come back through Hill and Crouch, who curls it around his body. Picked up by McDonald for the Roos. Kicks to half forward, Wilkie and Goldstein. Wilkie hands to it, knocked it down as far as Taylor for North Melbourne, who slid in. Zerha was up to meet it at half forward. The opposite number 44 takes it away in Wilkie. Now through Hill and Sinclair, who's been in outstanding form, goes inside the corridor. Marshall dropped the mark, scooped up by Jones, bangs it on the boots. It's going to be a free kick coming back to Rowan Marshall, who was infringed upon in the marking contest. He's got it just behind the centre circles, goal apiece, and we've played 7 minutes in the opening term.
Hand pass to Howard running around the back. He'll go to right half forward, over the head there of Membry. It's an awkward one to grab. He sees it over for a boundary throwing out the back.
We might talk a bit about Callum Wilkie today, but that effort on half-back was sensational. Outnumbered, 2-1. Just being able to bring the ball to ground and then get after it and win it back for the Saints was great.
Toss back into play. Right half 40 for St Kilda. And Lovely hand pass over the top by Gresham, although it just bounced away from his teammate. Gresham went back for seconds, turned it over by hand to Powell, to Young, and now to Turner. Awkward kick. This has to land inside. It does. It's okay. In the right back pocket, Walker takes the mark for the Roos.
Goes back behind his mark. Kicks long outside the defensive 50, the broadcast side. Sinclair worked his way in front of Horn Francis easily and pulls it in between the wing and half forward for the Saints. Drops it on the right boot into the pocket. Lovely kick to the advantage of King. Got to him on the half volley. McDonald came flying in over the top. Walker, handball into the back pocket. Call left it behind. Ryder picked it up. The big fella got down low. Couldn't jam it through as he tried to slide it toward goal. A minor score. 8 minutes gone. Opening term. It's the Saints lead.
Been a good form, Big Paddy. It's going to be a fascinating duel today. A couple of veteran rucks, Todd Goldstein and Paddy Ryder, and then their two ICs, I guess, in Marshall and Cherry coming in for North.
McDonald out of defence. Good kick too, bordering on 50 as Taylor was infringed with after he took that mark. Umpire happy to let that go. Kick over the top is okay as well. Left half back, Hayden takes the mark. Hayden looking back inside defensive 50. So goes short to Taylor, inboard. Short kick is okay. Now that they thread their way through this, he goes back to Young and further back inside defensive 50 by foot. Walker takes the mark, flares it out wide to Core. Now, Core has Taylor running over the top, so he gives him the hand pass. They've worked this up to the wing now. Hayden has to, Perez rather, has to try and stay in. Hand pass back to the running Core. Then big tackle by Jones. Jones was almost good enough to dispossess his opponent. St Kilda try and work it out. Hill's hand pass is knocked down. Anderson has to try and shrug another Jones tackle. Not sure he got rid of that correctly. Sinclair in there, just got the hand pass out. Good work at ground level. Chance here now for Owens, who goes high and shallow inside 50. Ball bounces, plenty of North numbers, although the hand pass was awkward. McDonald ends up turning it over. Chance now for Hill. Hill enters 50 with his kick over the head of King. Young third man in. Hayden down low. He's got one arm pinned. Just got the hand pass away. Jones now involved for the Saints. Snaps from 45. Hit the fat side of the footy. Out of bounds on the full in the forward pocket. North struggling to get it out of their defensive half.
Pretty messy stuff from both teams. We saw last week, Maisie, North really keen to kick mark their way out of half-back. With I think they took 120 odd uncontested marks. It's that when they're trying to get energy on the ball where they came unstuck last week, and Melbourne played on the turnover and scored heavily off turnover, so we'll keep an eye on that today.
A little bit more of it here, Borley. Hayden Core took a couple of marks there. 13 last week to go with 27 touches. Now Young directs his kick toward Perez. Good mark. And the speedster from Sandhurst is off on the broadcast side. Handball infield to Anderson and now over the top to Curtis. The left footer, he's got a few tricks. He directed his kick toward Taylor, Simpkin in fact, who jammed it inside the 50 straight to Dougal Howard. And the Saints come trampolining back the other way. Howard out to Wanganeen. Miller are on the City side wing. He lopes away with a bounce, kicks toward half forward. Sharman in from the side. Hayden knocks it away. A timely intervention seeks the safety of the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in, right half forward, Saints into attack. They lead by a point through 10 minutes of the opening term.
You love the effort and intensity of Jai Simpkin, Hawk. That's the one part of his game. We saw it again last week. It's plenty of the footy. That kick inside 50 there, just had to do better.
Sherry worked it down to Taylor, immediately tackled again. He's going nowhere. Another stoppage to take place.
The other part of that ball is that St Kilda are so good off half-back, getting numbers to the contest and then being able to chain it out. There's no surprise that Brad Hill's already one of the leading possession getters in the ground.
Simpkin sharks that tap, got it over to a teammate. Kick smothered though. Chance now again for Simpkin. Hand pass to Core. Core just hand pass forward almost blindly in the end. Saints trying to get numbers to this contest. Simpkin just fashions a kick out, only gained 20 metres. Jones to Wood by hand, and then King, the one-hander. Outside of the palm and took it on the way down as well. Didn't need his left hand.
And maybe doesn't need our advice, Paulie. We thought that he might have needed to get off Josh Walker and Hayden Core today, but he's just body on bodies, used the one juke. Should be a regulation one here, but we all know sometimes when Max's kicking boot's not on.
20 out directly in front. King delivers a goal to go with the spectacular mark. His first of the afternoon. And St Kilda have two. They lead by 7 after 12 minutes in the opening term.
Yeah, and we'll get your thoughts on his moustache at some stage too, Hawk. But it was Mason Wood, who's actually having a bit of a purple patch in form. He was a bit of a forgotten man, but against his old team, he'll be keen to go well. He's had a really good month of footy. We know what he can do. His work rate has never been in question, but was able to roll around there and just penetrate with that left foot. And as you said, it was a really just an out-and-out contested mark. They caught in the wrestle. It looked like Memory had the sit, didn't he? The run and jump from behind, but those long arms of the 204 centimetre Max King. Brilliant mark.
He is going to be a marvel for many years to come, Max King. He's going to be fun to watch for Saints fans in the competition. Do you sit there and just admire what he can do at times, Tom?
Yeah, you do, for sure. And we know how quick he is off the mark, but it's the things like that impress me the most about his development and still how young he is.
Tom Hawkins with us on Grandstand AFL. Marshall rose highest in the ruck. Horn Francis gave it away to Thomas for the Roos, who has to retreat by Powell after he missed his boot with an attempted kick. McDonald got it away to Scott, who's having a good year for the Roos. Directs the kick nicely, measured it for Horn Francis, who kicks to the edge of the 50. Lovely little touch pass on the outside of the boot, finds Anderson. He's marked at 52 metres out, goes on the left boot, into the pocket, Goldstein. Big Todd pulls it in, tight in the left forward pocket.
That was beautiful. The patience then of North Melbourne, particularly Horn Francis, to be able to find the mark just to settle him down, because St Kilda they're so solid when they can get set.
So Goldstein, the lefty, goes the check side from the boundary. The big fella makes it look easy. And again, North find an instant response to the Saints goal. Todd Goldstein with a very nice finish, tight in the left forward pocket. 2 straight North Melbourne. St Kilda 2-1-13. 14 minutes played, opening term.
And it's going to be an important part of the day for the 2 ruckmen today, Hawk. We know the Saints' 2 rucks' ability to push forward and impact the scoreboard. Well, Goldstein and Cherry at their best have the ability to do that. And we know he's a smart player too. And it was Horn Francis spreading out of the stoppage once North had won the footy. So a really smart bit of play from him, and just to be patient, as you said, and lower his eyes and honour the lead up. And then Goldstein's ability to say to Rowan Marshall, righto son, you've got to turn your head and work back now. And he just got some separation. And that's an amazing finish, isn't it?
Ryder almost with the clearance, kicked into Goldstein, his opposing ruckman, who tumbled over. Chance now for McDonald, who came up off half back to Thomas, back into congestion, turnover ball. Saints have worked this forward without a possession. Now Wood off the right boot inside 50. It's away from King. Walker forced a hand pass. It was okay to Scott, who works a short kick around to Taylor, pushed off it, but he'll find Thomas, who takes it at left half back.
Taron Thomas maybe hasn't had the year that he hoped for. A couple of injury interruptions. Struggling to get going. Chips it over the top to Tom Powell. The Sturt Jr. in his second year out of the SANFL. Marks just defensive side of the City wing. Saints by a point, 15.5 gone opening term. Joel Peterson, Andrew Mays with you on Grandstand AFL. Tom Hawkins, Luke Ball, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Long kick toward half forward. And Paddy Ryder, he continues to impress for the Saints. He pulls in a big pack mark at half-back. There's it wide for Patton, who's got it for St Kilda. Played every game this year after coming back from a broken leg, suffered in the early part of last season. Sends it long down the City wing. King the target. Core with a big fist straight up in the air out toward the boundary, where it'll be thrown in. City wing on the outer side.
St Kilda by a point. 16 minutes played, opening term here on Grandstand AFL. Ball to be tossed back into play. Ruckman, Ryder and Goldstein. Goldstein down to Thomas. He's tackled immediately. Ross careful not to get in his back and locks him up.
If you're a North fan, you're excited. You look into the centre bounce and it's Horn Francis, Thomas and Davies Uniac. I mean, that's the nucleus that has to carry them forward for the next 10 years.
Horn Francis there with the clearance as well. Hand pass ends up with Thomas. Now to Zeeble. The captain in his 250th takes a very strong contested mark. 45 out, slide angle to the left. That's what we've come to know from Jack Zeeble over a number of seasons. Now, it was McDonald, I think, in the aftermath of getting that hand pass away across half back, and he got crunched. So we'll get an update from Lauren as he's coming towards the boundary line. But All eyes now on the man playing his 250th this afternoon. Jack Zeeble from 45 out pulls the kick. One behind. 2-1-13 apiece. 17 played opening term.
It's the 12th through to get to 250. Captain since 2017, Jack Zeeble. Wodonga product. Played junior footy or senior footy in Wodonga as a 15-year-old for the Wodonga Bulldogs. He's been ready built since a very young age. And he's played just about everywhere for North Melbourne as well. Long kick from Sinclair down the wing, spiked over the boundary line by Goldstein. It'll be tossed back into play in front of the interchange gates.
You don't need Todd Goldstein landing on you there either, as Colin Hayden got to his feet.
Ideal. Corin Hayden's struggled with injury in the last couple of years. He hardly needs the second biggest bloke on the ground landing on top of him. Davies Uniacke took it off the pack. Fighting for it is Owens, who's done a couple of nice things early, lying on top of him, Zeeble. So the second gamer and the 250 gamer are a bit of a contrast as they pick themselves up off the AFL logo.
Ryder from over the top. He was looking for Owens. Got his hands free. Got the hand pass to Jones, who's taken front on in a big tackle by Zeeble, who gets to his feet.
Yeah, he's back into the team zones. They obviously like what he brings to the table. Big, strong-bodied inside mid. And when you consider that he's coming for Jack Billings, it's a big show of faith.
Tap work by Ryder was sensational down to Ross. His dummy just as good. The kick to the top of the square. Bounces all the way through from 70. Well, I'm not sure that was his intention, but it sure worked out okay for the Saints. They have another 3-1-19. North Melbourne 2-1-13 as we tick towards the 19-minute mark in this first quarter.
We, as players and coaches, we talk a little bit about the ball travelling just that little bit further. Now, I'm not sure if it's helped Seb Ross there or not. He's got a couple of lucky bounces along the way, but he's kicked that. By the time he's kicked it and gone through, it's sort of gone 70 metres. So it was a beautiful bit of play. The ability to be able to win the ball out of the contest. North Melbourne have been really good at just being able to nullify St Kilda from winning the ball, but then getting it on the outside, unfortunately. And fortunately for Saints there, they got it through. And I'm going to go as far as saying it was a beautiful finish by Seb Ross.
Well, Coleman medal-winning cat Tom Hawkins with us on Grandstand AFL knows a thing or two about kicking goals, so that's high praise indeed. North Melbourne control it from the restart. Powell comes into the centre corridor for Hayden. Lovely kick for Davies Uniacke. Thomas running over the top, feeds the handball to him, got down low, kicked it in motion. Oh, that's a terrific pass. Falling forward, somehow got it to his boot and picked out Curtis inside the arc.
Well, I'm not sure that, obviously it wasn't intended, but loved the bit of play. They're able to keep their balance, keep their shape around the clearance there, and beautiful kick by Hayden on the 45 through the middle of the ground. The overlap, the forward handball, which we know that really good teams in the competition are using, and a bit of a lucky kick, but it was the play that made it. He's shown a bit, this guy, too, in the last couple of games.
He's got a few tricks, kicked goals in his opening 2 games, hasn't nabbed one since, been scoreless in his last couple, so he's back on the board, maybe not in the sense that he would have liked. 5-point spread, Saints ahead. We've played 20 minutes in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Quick kick out of defence from Sinclair. Flares it out wide to Wilkie. Hand pass over the top to Patton. And he goes further afield to McKenzie, who had a fumble out of... There was no one within 5 or 6 metres. And he's fumbled it out for a boundary throw-in. They're working that nicely around the boundary, St Kilda. And they have to pause at right half back. Toss back into play. Sherry plays Marshall from behind. Marshall paddles it down. He was looking for Owens. Didn't quite find him. Simpkin pushed off his kick. It tumbles towards Wilkie at halfback, who's got space. Hand pass to Hill. Hand pass back inside 50 to Sinclair. Sinclair out wide. Marshall almost had his arms chopped. He did. Umpire comes across and pays that free kick. Couple of metres inside the boundary in between wing and half forward.
So Rowan Marshall will take it for the Saints. He chips in field to Sinclair. Second in the best and fairest last year for St Kilda. He's exceeding his output this season. He'd be at least in the All-Australian conversation. Kicks up toward half forward. Bounces through the pack. Gets out the back toward Hayden. And it goes out of play. Let's go downstairs to Lauren Borden on Grandstand AFL.
Well, David Noble has parked himself at the back of the bench, firing out instructions. He's even pulled out a little whiteboard with a whiteboard marker that he's been giving instructions to for set plays, and Luke McDonald was just getting some advice just before.
Thanks, Loz. Situated right behind the North Melbourne bench. Some tough stuff around the contest here as Marshall kicks inside the forward 50. It's picked off pretty easily by Hayden on the last line of defence for the Roos. They trail by 5 points as Hayden sends it out to the city side.
Kick is okay as well. Chance for Sherry's come a long way up the park. Having a run in the ruck at the moment. He's looking back across goal and then ends up going the safer option out wide. Larky's come a long way from home. And almost roving it at the front was Greenwood. Ball bounced away from him and out for a boundary throw-in.
Really need probably an increased output from Nick Larkey today, the Kangaroos. Is that really that lone big key forward for them? Got Howard, who's a really good matchup for him.
Marshall just whacks this forward from the boundary throw-in. Powell will be first to get there. He had the safety of the boundary line. Did he get a shove over? No. Seb Ross trots back, leaves the scene of the crime. We'll have a ball in right half forward for St Kilda.
5 goals in his past 4 weeks, Nick Larkey. Who's the matchup you get when you play the Saints generally, Tom?
I got Dougal Howard. Callum Wilkie sort of floats around through there and takes one of the other keys as well. But yeah, I have a hands full with Dougal. Very underrated.
Quick kick inside forward 50 for the Saints here, out the right forward pocket. Ryder goes to ground and fights for it.
But the thing that makes St Kilda's defence so hard to score against, and we're seeing that here today, is their system and the way that they get back and help defend as a unit.
Ball up in the forward pocket. Marshall took it out of the ruck. Thought about the snap from tight on the boundary line. It bounces its way toward Owens at full forward for the Saints. Lays a good tackle. Umpire says mine. And a ball up in the right forward pocket. St Kilda in attack. They lead by 5 points. We played 23 in the first.
Ball tossed up. Marshall to the open space. Owens actually left it for Crouch. Hand pass to Ryder. Snap around the body. Paddy Ryder. Thank you very much. Lovely finish from the ruckman. 30 out. Had to get it to his boot quickly. Did so and finished in fine style. 4-1-25 St Kilda. North 2-2-14. The margin 11 points. 25 goal on opening term.
Well, he says, I'll get one back. He concedes one to Todd Goldstein. But again, that's the beauty of the ruckman or the ruck combo, Hawk, that can push forward. And we saw then it was Marshall in the ruck, so forward stoppage. Not pretty, hit into space and create you into a dangerous space. Brad Crouch involved there with the quick hands to Ryder. And something out of nothing, but just the ability for these big guys to be able to push forward and hit the scoreboard. We know that in modern footy, if you want to push up towards the top end of the ladder, that's what you have to do.
He's having a terrific year again. Paddy Ryder, 34 and showing no signs of slowing down. Long kick inside 50. Marshall picks himself up off the turf in the centre circle. Saints with Membry diving in after the football. He's going to be rewarded. Core on the bottom of it all. Turns around, looks at the umpire in disbelief. And Tim Membry will go back and have a shot from 35 metres out. The Saints with back-to-back goals for the first time in the match and a chance to make it 3 on the bounce.
Yeah, just the drag in. That's the giveaway, isn't it? That's what they're looking for. He did everything he could to try and get it out, but this kills up North. Red time here. 2 on a row. They've been pretty competitive up until this point, but easy centre bounce clearance.
Kicked a couple last week. Tim Membry comes in from 40 metres out, makes no mistake. And the Saints open up some breathing room late in the opening term. St Kilda 5-1-31, North Melbourne 2-2-14, 26 minutes gone, opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins.
You love that from a forward in Tim Membry, just being able to find other avenues towards goal other than just lead mark kick. His ability just to be able to stay involved in the game. He's obviously he's got a huge running ability and power, but just to be able to stay involved in the game and get shots off the back of your pressure, it's a great sign for him.
Good signs for the Saints as well, as Bully mentioned. 3 goals in the last 7 minutes to open up the
just got to hang on here, North.
Lead.
Yeah. It starts at the centre bounce here. They've got to at least neutralise it or win.
Gresham, hand pass to Crouch, who works the 1-2 with Ross and then flares it out wide as well. Another chance here for Mackenzie, thinking about going inboard. Just holds his kick for the time being. Then he does go inboard. Kick is okay. 2 to Hill. Just over halfway. Hand pass to the running Patton, who kicks a high ball inside 50. Tall targets aren't quite there. Wanganeen Miller is able to rove, though. Front and centre. Sold to that lovely Candy. Turned. Just hit the outside of the ball there. Swung away from goal. Across the face for one behind. Just showing a bit of class.
Isn't he? Yeah.
5-2-32 St Kilda. 2-2-14 North Melbourne.
It was a Kane Turner that found himself on Max King there. It's scary enough as a key position defender. I'm not sure the size and weight he was giving away, Kane, but it was a great effort.
He's a bit of a scrapper, Kane Turner, but that is well outside his weight class, that's for sure. North work it to the city wing here. Curtis is out the back, kicks inside the forward 50, a bouncing ball in front of Sinclair for the Saints. He's got time and support from Howard just to settle over his kick, chips it to Ross, had it knocked out of his hands. Free kick going to the Saints midfielder right on the paint of the defensive 50.
22 centimetres and 23 kilos. That's a mismatch.
That's a very big, that's about 4 weight classes, I reckon. So Ross comes across the defensive 50 to Wanganeen Miller. He chips it short to Sinclair. He's going to pop it over the top again to Wanganeen Miller. So the young fella out of Marion in the southern suburbs of Adelaide showing some good signs. He's got it on the broadcast side wing.
Aggressive kick as well. It's a good one. Straight into the middle. Wilkie hand pass over the top is good too to find Ross, who wanted to go one more. Windhager is tackled holding the ball. Good tackle by Anderson not to get in his back as well and save the entrance inside 50. So true centre half back. Anderson out wide. Core takes the mark, wants to hold things up for North. Back in the middle to Anderson by foot. And he flares it out further wide this time. Mark taken by McDonald at left half back.
This is where they're struggling, Hawk. You're right. This is where they allow St Kilda to set up their team defence behind the ball. Hard to score against from this spot, the Saints.
It's a little bit more pressure coming with every kick as Anderson kicks it up toward half forward. Goldstein there. Sinclair slips the handball back to Hill at half back for St Kilda. He chips short to Marshall, who angles the kick to the AFL logo. Windhager runs onto it. Takes the mark. He looks up. Finds Owens, who has created some excitement in his second game early. He looks a likely type for St Kilda. Drops it inside the forward 50. King's got 3 to beat. Oh, he almost pulled it in as well. Ball to ground. Cause there. Handball to McDonald. Handball to Perez. Thrown across the boundary line. And it'll be tossed back in 45 metres out from the Saints goal. Right forward pocket. St Kilda by 3 straight kicks, closing in on quarter time.
Thrown back into play, right forward pocket. Chance here for the Saints late. Hit over the top from Goldstein towards the boundary. Ends up with McDonald. High kick. Not a lot of penetration on it. McKenzie. Hand pass to Ward, who smashed in a tackle from front and behind. And we'll have a ball up right half forward for the Roos.
How many times have we seen brutal contests and tackles like that from Jack Zeeble in his 250 games?
I'm saying at least 249 of them. As McDonald puts his head over it and gets taken high. He doesn't often shirk the issue either. Got run over by his former teammate Mason Wood. And Luke McDonald
stinging a bit after that tackle, I think, Mason Wood. He wanted a body, didn't he?
The Sid Barker medalist chips short to Scott.
Just don't go too hard like we saw last week where the free kick was given away.
Absolutely. North come off half back, but the siren beats their advance. And the Saints with 3 in a row to end the opening term. Open up a gap by that margin. 18 points, St Kilda turn to quarter time ahead. The Saints 5-2, North Melbourne 2-2 to open up Sunday afternoon football here in round 11, the continuation of Sir Doug Nicholls' Indigenous round. Goals in the opening term for the Saints to McKenzie, a beautiful finish for the first of the game. Membry, Ryder, King and Ross. And for North Melbourne, Todd Goldstein with a special from the pocket. And Cam Zurhar getting the first for the Roos. 18 points the Saints lead at quarter time on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
To watch the latest stories from ABC News and clips from our current affairs shows online, it's time to go direct to the source. Australia's most reliable news can be found on ABC Radio, the ABC News app and the ABC News website. Download the free app now and stay across local breaking stories, updates and analysis from Australia's most trusted news. What matters to you matters to us, and it's all on the ABC News app and news.abc.net.au.
This is Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Young, kick tries to clear the defensive 50. It bounces its way out toward McKenzie. Might have been held onto by Taylor. Slips the tackle, runs to 40, puts it on the left. That's a superb goal.
Clearance this time for Davies Uniacke. Lovely dummy after the hand pass got to Goldstein. Got around one. Went towards Thomas, who almost took the mark. Zeeble front and centre. Kick off the left. Into the pocket. Zerha turns inside out. Just needs to get back onto his right. He does. He fell over. But he's still got boot to ball and answers right back. Jones to Wood by hand, and then King, the one-hander, outside of the palm and took it on the way down as well. Didn't need his left hand. 20 out directly in front. King delivers a goal to go with the spectacular mark. His first of the afternoon.
So Goldstein, the lefty, goes the check side from the boundary. The big fella makes it look easy.
Tap work by Ryder was sensational down to Ross. His dummy just as good. The kick to the top of the square. Bounces all the way through from 70. Ball tossed up. Marshall to the open space. Owens actually left it for Crouch. Hand pass to Ryder. Snap around the body. Paddy Ryder. Thank you very much. Lovely finish from the ruckman.
Tim Membry comes in from 40 metres out. Makes no mistake.
The Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time under the roof here at Docklands. Sunday afternoon footy. Great to have your company on ABC Radio throughout South Australia and the Territory, on ABC Sport Digital as well. If you're listening via the AFL app from absolutely anywhere in the world, lovely to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. St Kilda by 18 points at quarter time. 5-2-32 to North Melbourne 2-2-14. Couple of games coming your way. The Savo, if you're with us in the Territory, you'll be headed to Carlton and Collingwood a little bit later at the MCG in front of what is going to be a massive crowd on a beautiful day for football. And then later on this afternoon, Port Adelaide and Essendon at the Adelaide Oval. Aaron Bryant, Neil Cross, Stephen Williams and Scott Camporelli with you from 4 o'clock Eastern. So that'll be 3:30 in Adelaide, and throughout South Australia you'll get the coverage of that game before the Power take on the Bombers. Big day in sport already. Of course, the Champions League final overnight, Real Madrid winning. Jai Hindley, the Australian cyclist, is all set to win the Giro d'Italia, which is a massive moment for Australian cycling. Of course, Cadel Evans has won the Tour de France. The Aussies have never had a winner of the Giro d'Italia, which is probably the second most prestigious of the Grand Tour stage races. And Jai Hindley is going to beat Richard Carapaz with the time trial to come tonight to finish off the Giro d'Italia, which is very big sporting news. Big result yesterday with Freo defeating Melbourne, Western United in the A-League last night. Much of that you will have heard across the airwaves here on Grandstand. 18-point lead to St Kilda at quarter time. Great to have Premiership winning cat, Coleman medal winning cat Tom Hawkins with us on Grandstand AFL alongside Luke Ball. Bally and Hawk, what have you made of the opening term?
First quarter from Hawk too, I think.
Very good. Just settled in nicely.
Career, yeah. Well, I think we were looking for effort, weren't we? Certainly after the week that North had, and you couldn't question
in the game or from Hawk?
So, never question Hawks. No, we'll talk about the game. We'll get to talk at half time maybe. But I mean, what indicators would show you that the effort's there from North? They're winning the clearances. The contested ball's pretty even, and they're tackling. They're having a crack. It's just their ability to find other avenues to score at the moment. I mean, so they've had 7 inside 50s and scored 6 times, but they've been largely from clearance where they've won the ball out of the centre and at least won some field position. Where they struggle is transitioning the footy from their back half. So St Kilda had 15 inside 50s and only scored, what have they scored? Only 7 times. So when you look at efficiency, you'd say North's up there, but their ability to North to transition the footy from their back half to their front half without turning the footy over is the real issue at the moment. And some of it's method, but a lot of it's just skill and execution. And that was the case last week. You can see what they're trying to do with the footy at times. And when it comes off, they had a couple of shots on goal, but it is a lot more labour intensive. So really clearance work's going to be critical for them today, but they have to find another way, another avenue to score. We spoke about Larky, Hawk, having to work pretty hard. There's not a heap else down there. I mean, Zerha looked a bit dangerous early, and Zeebel's down there as well. And other than that, they're pretty young. So, and then those last 4 minutes, the Saints just started to get on top, especially around the footy.
It's funny, I think St Kilda almost lull you into turning the ball over at half-back where they use their runners and their midfielders get back and they start to chain the ball through the midfield and then obviously get it deep to their kingpins.
3-goal lead to the Saints as we start the second term. Simpkin with the extraction for North Melbourne. Zeeble goes flying through the pack, had an arm pinned as he stuck one up in the air, and he's going to win a free kick right on the 50. The milestone man, game 250, Jack Zeeble.
I reckon he's about 2 metres too far out here.
Do you reckon?
Take his very best.
Not that I've played with Jack Zeeble, but I don't think I'd bother leading here. I reckon just go straight through.
55 metres out. Oh, he slipped over and almost missed his boot. He's left a divot behind. Get the sand bucket out because that's gone all of 27 metres and it was not spinning. Turned it straight over. Webster's got it for the Saints.
I'm good at this mozzing caper in the box. I've heard about it. It's real.
That's old school Marvel Stadium.
Good, we've got you going early, Tom.
The Saints are able to work this up to the wing. Young taking in a big tackle over the Roos. St Kilda lost possession momentarily. They've now got it back through Gresham. Here's Mackenzie short instead. Backtracks a little. Battle. Into the middle. Into the centre square by foot. Howard, he goes for a run. Almost up to halfway. Long kick inside 50. And Goldstein was the only man who was going to take that. Sat under it for a while. And took an important defensive mark.
Strange option for Gresham, wasn't it, to go back? He had the ball on centre wing and he went back to go forward, and in the end they get a shallow entry and an easy intercept mark.
Most experienced player out there, Todd Goldstein. Came 284 this afternoon. Zerha with a big fly over Wilkie.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. The deep entries put the Kangaroos' defence under pressure. I think Max King and Rowan Marshall both actually had mismatches at the time, so...
Free kick for the Saints went to Wilkie, to Jones, to Webster, and now to Hill. Comes bouncing off half-back. A couple of times he touches it to the turf and then directs his kick to Sinclair between the wing and right half forward. Steps around Anderson, has a bounce of his own, goes high inside the 50, looking for Ryder. Over the top came Goldstein, got a fist to it, spills into the forward pocket. Gresham bustled Scott out of the way, picked up by Sharman, tries to hook it back over his head, caught in a couple of Kangaroo tackles. Not coming away with the ball. And we'll have it tossed up in the right forward pocket for the Saints.
12 possessions, Sinclair really has become an A-grade player in the comp.
Goldstein won it down. Crouch couldn't gather. Chance now for Simpkin. Off a step, out of the danger zone. Might come back quickly though. Saints with the numbers. Hand pass from Battle to Hill. Only just got out of the tackle. Had to turn it over by hand in the end. Zerha to Anderson. Anderson a high kick towards the wing. Larky, good contest. As well as Wilkie for the Saints coming over the top with a big fist to kill it. Out of bounds, just forward of halfway. Naru's looking to get into attack here. Goldstein runs up from the back line against Marshall. Marshall works his way to the front. Goldstein reached over from behind. Anderson, a hand pass to Simpkin. High entry, inside 50. Webster went the fist. And Wilkie stayed down and took the mark. He flares it out wide by foot to Wanganeen Miller, who hits the accelerator.
Oh, he's gone. He's up into fifth gear now, sprinting away from Taylor. 4 bounces down the outer wing for Wanganeen Miller, and then he ran into McDonald. Handball inboard. Windhager left it behind. Taylor ran him down and held him without the footy.
Oh, it's exciting stuff, isn't it?
It was an explosion from Wanganeen Miller down the city wing.
I don't think we've seen that from him yet, have we? Beautiful, skills, but that was really exciting.
Windhager inside the 50. Goldstein hooks it away from Membry. Gresham's got it in the pocket, centres it up straight to Lockie Young, who was standing as the goalkeeper on the last line. Awkward kick to Powell, got run down. That was going to be a free kick against Battle every day of the week. And Tom Powell bounces back up to his feet, kicks awkwardly outside the defensive 50 for the Roos. It won't sit for Scott. Mackenzie's in there, draws support. The Saints can build again.
Mackenzie back to Hill. He just pulled his kick at the last moment. Shallow entry, and Davies Uniacke's able to intercept easily for the Roos.
Just controlling field position at the moment, the Saints, aren't they? Setting up behind the footy. making it really hard for North to transition, like we spoke about a quarter time.
High kick to the wing, 3-on-1 for Larky. Did extremely well to get a fist in there and actually wins the boundary throw-in, which David Noble would see as a win.
Yep. Yeah, it's a couple of times now, isn't it? He's halved a 1-on-2, 1-on-3 contest, that one was, and that's all you can do sometimes as a key forward.
Ball to be tossed back in on the wing. Goldstein, lovely. Tap down to Simpkin. Tumbling ball inside 50. Larky got back. Might have had his arms pulled. He didn't. Now a chance for Webster. He's bumped off it. Goes back into congestion. Big tackle. Ball going nowhere inside 50. Anderson's had a number of those today. Battle gets to his feet. Hands it back to the umpire.
It was his 8th tackle, Jed Anderson. So he's certainly setting the tone for his teammates.
Important presence in the midfield for North Melbourne. Goldstein takes it out of the ruck, tackled straight away by Jones and Marshall. Another ball up inside 50 for the Roos. Marshall and Goldstein wrestle once more. Goldstein palms it down. Jones drags down Horne-Francis. Zeebel's over the top of Patton to lay a tackle. Again a stoppage inside forward 50 for North Melbourne. Saints 5-2, Roos 2-2. No change to the quarter time score. 6 or 5 minutes gone here in this second term. Sinclair coming up for disposal number 13. A high kick outside the defensive 50. Young sits under it, plucks it out of the sky. A well-judged mark just forward of the wing for North Melbourne.
Walker did well to shield him from Max King, who was looming from behind as well. Kick inside 50. Wilkie almost with the mark. Yes, had enough of it to be paid the mark. That's a great defensive mark, drifting across the side of the pack. Sticky fingers.
Something about being a defender wearing the number 44, I think, this weekend, Tom.
Yes.
Exactly, and marking the footy. Yeah, he's a beautiful exponent of the game, and just in the way that he reads it. We've seen him a couple of times just not look for body, work his opponent on and off the ball, and just manipulate the situation to best suit him.
Great kick from Ross to the wing. They've worked it to half forward. Membry to King. Lovely ball movement by the Saints, and Max King takes the mark. 35 out directly in front.
Yeah, lovely ball movement, well called. But it starts with the intercept mark, doesn't it, from Callum Wilkie? And you mentioned Sinclair in All-Australian conversation. Well, he certainly has to be as well. What a pickup he's been. Ironically wearing Stephen Milne's number 44. Didn't venture down back too much, Milne, in his time, but a great bit of transition. We spoke about North's trouble doing that. That was a perfect exponent of it then from the Saints.
King with one this afternoon from a similar position. This time pulls it badly. Just snuck in for one behind. 5-3-33 the Saints.
We love Max King when he can get a run and jump at it. I've watched that contest pretty closely in the early parts of the second quarter, and Walker's clearly not wanting Max King to get behind him. So anytime he can create space in front of him and get the footy kicked in his area, he's looking really dangerous.
Gets those go-go gadget arms up and pulls it off the roof. 19 points the margin. Scott for North Melbourne.
It's where they're missing Ben Mackay, isn't it, too? Hasn't played for a while. You'd think he's certainly perfectly get that match up and allow Walker to come third man in.
Anderson kicks around the city wing for the Roos. Out the back, guess who? Number 44, Callum Wilkie. He's been already in absolutely terrific touch. Mark number 6.
I think he's got the Zurha matchup. We'll have to have a look at that because it's getting to the stage where North might actually have to put some time into it.
Here come the Saints again. Membry's got it. Goes inside the 50. King dropped the mark. Got it back at ground level. Steps around a couple. Hooks it around his body. And it fades right. It stayed in the forward pocket. It sits up for Long. He can step around, centre the footy up and find Jones. Even when it's not working, it's working for the Saints. Jones has got it 40 out, almost directly in front.
Lesson there for young Flynn Perez, who just switched off thinking the ball was going to bounce through from behind. And the oval ball hook, it can go anywhere. And Ben Long played it out, ran onto the loose ball and really cleverly centred in the end to Zach Jones.
4th game of the year for Zach Jones from 40 metres out. He tugs the kick left, misses. Margin 20 points the way of the Saints. 9 minutes gone, second term on Grandstand AFL.
Short kick in is okay from McDonald. He finds Perez, left back pocket still. Larky up on the wing. Opts for a shorter option. Goes back to McDonald outside his defensive goal square. And McDonald Will go long towards Larkey, who just had to pause on his lead there, got over the back, did well enough to keep it in front. Simpkin running front and centre. Got a hand pass to Thomas, who kicked an awkward ball, bounced in front of Zurha and away from him. Howard there for the Saints, used a bit of toe to get away from Larkey. Hand pass to Jones, he draws an opponent, then hand passes to Hill. Hill over the top, kick into the centre circles is good. Windhager out wider still to Crouch, who slipped over. Now back to Jones. Jones a long kick inside 50, getting a run at it that time was King. Pushed under the ball, Horne-Francis now. Left foot kick is okay. Simpkin through his hands. And then a big tackle from Battle. Did well not to get him high. Wrapped him up. Ball going nowhere. Right half forward.
Great contest, both players. Both players certainly don't take a backward step. Simpkin and Battle, terrific stuff.
Good to see them both bounce back up to their feet. Luke Ball alongside Tom Hawkins, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Owens thought he was dragged without it at the contest. Thomas, Jones came scooting past. Ball ends up with him. And then to Wanganeen Miller, who was over the boundary line, as Simpkin runs into Battle again.
Yeah, free kick to Jones. Just intensity certainly there. Just a little bit misplaced there, young Horne-Francis.
So Horne-Francis right in front of the bench is motioning for Powell to get ready to come on. Short kick from Jones to Ross. And now to Owens. To Hill. The Saints inside the 50 again. Longs up. Staying down was Turner. And now Hayden for the Roos to Scott. Ran into the brick wall. He's gone.
I touched on the formation a bit earlier on of St Kilda, but just their ability again to be able to be set up behind the ball. Whenever Kangaroos have won it, they've been either under pressure from the St Kilda forwards, or they just don't have any outs. So they're communicating it. It's really evident being here live at the ground how well they're doing it. And we saw that last week, a couple of weeks ago, I should say. But they're looking really dangerous.
Marcus Windhager with the free kick. That's an awkward approach. Far from textbook, and he's shanked it out of bounds on the full. He almost fell over backwards after he kicked it. It didn't look convincing. 20-point lead to the Saints. 12 minutes gone. Second term on Grandstand AFL.
23 inside 50s to 11.
Yeah, keeping them in it at the moment, the Saints, just with some poor kicking, but just holding up the damn wall. The Tigers.
Speaking of poor kicking, it didn't reach outside of defensive 50 from Walker. Now a chance for Sharman. He's tackled, just got the hand pass away. Powell's dispossessed. Umpire yells play on. McKenzie dragged off his kick, went 5 metres. King tried to get to it. McDonald happy to see it over for a boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Saints. They lead by 20 after 12 minutes. In this second term, I just feel like this could blow right open at any moment, but as Bally said, they have kept North Melbourne in it with their kicking in this second quarter. Toss back into play. Lovely tap by Marshall to Gresham. Does he let them down? Yes, he does. Another behind for St Kilda.
Clearly a set play there to get Gresham free. Watching live just created a bit of space by some blocks off the ball.
The thoughts of Coleman medal winning cat Tom Hawkins with you on Grandstand AFL. Margin 21 the way of the Saints. Long kick out of defence for North Melbourne. Knocked back to Gresham. His handball turned over. Greenwood to Powell to Thomas. They come through the middle here. Scott collects on the bounce for the Roos. Flares it wide to right half forward and Goldstein. 70 out from home. Davies-Uniacke the deepest target. Sherry drifts forward. Now Taylor provides some run for the Roos. Darts his kick in board. Good vision. Finds Anderson, but he's 48 from home near the numbers of the 50.
And that's better. The long kick out, they were just able to outnumber at the fall of the ball, and your heart's in your mouth a little bit. It's never that pretty with their chain of handballs, but they had the extra player there, so they were able to get the ball out of their front half. And then, well done by Goldstein then. Sometimes you've got to keep Wilkie busy. You've got to create space.
Anderson to the top of the goal square. Goldstein's up, 2 hands to it, couldn't mark. Greenwood tries to wrestle it free. Marshall tosses him to the turf, and we'll have a ball up at full forward for North. Saints by 21, 14 gone, second term.
Thrown up. Sherry tries to work it down, was looking for Davies-Uniacke. Webster, he's ripped off it and then gathered and was tackled again. Zeeble not letting him go anywhere.
And this is fine here for North Melbourne, just to be able to let the ball live in their forward 50 just for a couple of minutes, get their breath back. They've been doing a lot of defending in the last 10 minutes.
Jones, a hand pass to Sinclair, and Sinclair's short kick is okay as well. He finds Webster just inside the boundary line. Webster goes short with his kick to Hill. Still inside defensive 50, right back pocket. Thought about the switch instead. Runs towards the boundary line, then hooks the kick back. McDonald up over the top, Young. Sharman the only man down though. Hand pass to Wood and then into the middle. That's a great kick as well, and Patton's away.
Here go the Saints. Patton with 2 bounces through the centre. Might think about a third. Kicks inside the 50. Awkward one for Windhager. Court tracks it toward the pocket and juggles it over the boundary line where it'll be tossed back in. 35 around from the Saints goal. Dominated territory here in this second term, St Kilda. We went goal for goal in the opening stages of the first. The Saints have got the last 3. They haven't kicked one here in this second term, but they've had plenty of opportunities. Ball's tossed back in. Again, some good fierce tackling pressure. Windhager's thrown into the turf by a couple of roos. Sherry picks himself up off the deck. It was Owens, in fact, who was last up for the Saints. Ryder in ruck. 40 out from St Kilda's goal. Taran Thomas a clearing kick for North Melbourne. It's picked off by Patton. Will send the Saints forward once more.
Patton with a couple of players behind him. Draws the opponent. Goes to Sinclair by hand, who just pops it to the hot spot. King didn't get a run at it, but Sharman did in front. Got in front of that one-on-one. Space on his opponent and took a good mark. 20 out directly in front.
It's a good grab, isn't it? Got plenty of time for this this young fella, Cooper Sharman. And really, with all the focus on Max King, aerially anyway, in that front half, he probably got separation a little too easily then.
Yeah, he lost Young.
Yeah, he did, lost Young, and he'll want to be a bit better being able to maintain body contact. In the end, it was an uncontested mark.
So in comes Sharman. 20 out, slide angle to the left, and he delivers the first goal of the second term. It's taken a while for the Saints. 16 minutes in. They are dominating this game, yet to put it on the scoreboard. 6-5-41 St Kilda, 2-2-14 the Roos. Let's head downstairs. Lauren.
Geez, you can tell from Jai Simpkin sitting on the bench, he really felt that crunching Josh Battle tackle just from the way he slumped down. He looked a bit stunned by it. He's just gone back on the field now, straight back into the middle, so I think he'll be looking to maybe send one back the other way.
Pretty tough customer is Jai Simpkin. Cooper Sharman hasn't had the same opportunities he did late in last season, Bawley, but he tends to make it count.
He does. Yeah, he looks a nice kick at the footy. And again, a nice third option if you count Memory down there as well on the resting ruckman. He looks a good size, actually, too, and certainly took that at its highest point. So another good option for the Saints in their forward half.
From 118 to another in the restart. Ryder won it down, but it was sharked by Greenwood for the Roos. Sends North Melbourne forward. Sinclair collects a bouncing ball inside the defensive 50. Hooks it around his body. Horn Francis was up, couldn't pull it in. Ball hits the deck at half forward for North Melbourne. Zeebel's over the top of it all, turning and appealing to the umpire. Won't get a free kick.
North small forwards have just got to be better at providing a contest when the ball hits the ground. They're not marking it in their front half.
Ball up at right half forward for the Roos. McKenzie spikes a long kick down the line for the Saints and claws across to fist it out of play. And it'll be thrown in at left half forward for St Kilda.
27 points the margin, 18 played second quarter. Throw in at left half forward for the Saints. Ryder won it down, only as far as Taylor, had a slip. Then his hand pass didn't quite find Simpkin, who might have been held. McKenzie there had a fumble. Horn Francis was clean. Hand pass out towards Greenwood. At his feet, has a couple of fumbles and sees it over for another boundary throw-in. Gained about 15 metres North Melbourne. Looking up the city side. Ball still in between wing and half forward. Thrown in again. Ryder and Goldstein. Ryder held out of it by Goldstein, who had to turn tackler in the end. He holds things up for another stoppage. McKenzie going nowhere. Ball up to come.
Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Tom Hawkins and Luke Ball, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Up and under kick at the stoppage. Horn Francis dumped into the turf by McKenzie. Ross slips through the traffic. Handball went looking for Jones, who rode the bump from McDonald. McDonald picked the footy up, and then Zurhaar got dragged down almost by Sinclair. Got the handball away, but it's pinched by Wood for the Saints. Sends St Kilda inside the 50 toward Owens, but Core gets back in the nick of time and takes a good mark falling to the turf. Handball to McDonald. And now to Turner as the Roos settle at half-back. Hayden directs his kick wide and finds Perez, who's got a moment of space and time to work in. Saints pressing. They lead by 27, ticking into time on in the second term.
Larkey really only his tall target. He goes shorter than him instead. Nice mark there by Zurhaar. Drifted to the front. Wheels around. Goes inside 50. Gives Larkey no chance. It bounces a couple of metres inside the boundary and out of play. Left forward pocket for the Roos.
It's not Nick Larkey's day so far, but he can turn that around. I mean, he's just got to keep in line with the footy here. Zurhaar went a little bit too quick for him. Finally had a one-on-one.
Hasn't seen the footy yet, Nick Larkey. Such to the extent that Tom Hawkins points out, it hasn't been his afternoon so far. The stoppage, Ross kicks smothered, ricochets to Simpkin, pokes it to the top of the square. Battle flying back into the unknown, takes a terrific mark, and Larkey adds injury to insult. He's down and sore at full forward for North. Josh Battle's been involved in a couple of really tough contests early, and that was another example there as McKenzie kicks in field and finds Wilkie on the paint of the 50 for the Saints. He'll swing it to Wanganeen Millerer.
Had to take that one, and he did. Strong mark. Wanganeen Millerer takes the mark. He's at right half back. Bit indecisive, no options presenting, so he goes by hand to Battle. Now to the wing by foot to Gresham, no one in front of him. So goes long to Membry, who had to turn defender in his own forward line. McDonald got in front of him and he kills the contest out of bounds in the right forward pocket.
One thing I'll say about Larkey, his contest work has been unbelievable. So he mightn't have had the touches he would have wanted, but that's the way to just keep staying in the game as a key forward.
Ryder down to Crouch, who tries to shrug a couple of tackles. Ball locked to him. We'll have another stoppage outside of attacking 50.
It's a good call, and he's coming off for a breather, well-earned breather. Making a bit of a name for himself, Josh Battle, isn't he? As a courageous third back.
Ball ricochets around at the stoppage. Wanganeen Millerer runs out of space. It's really probably the first time Ballie's been settled into a position through the early stages of this year.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, drafted as a forward originally. High work rate, high tank. But you're right, he's found a real niche for himself there. He can play on tall and small. I think that's the versatility of him makes him really valuable.
Called a pre-season game. They played against Carlton, the Saints, and immediately looked like he'd found his home there. And clearly the Saints agree. Here he is, Battle. He takes a long kick down the line off the pack, exchanges a 1-2 by hand with Webster, but his kick's knocked down by Thomas, who pinches it on the edge of the 50. He got run down by Webster. Spills to Zurhaar, who ran the wrong way and then turned in field. Didn't see anything he liked, so handball retreated by hand to Zeeble, kicks across the forward 50. Sharman's there for the Saints, and now Jones, handball out wide to Hill, who stops on the numbers of the defensive 50 and knocks his kick deftly over the top to the run of Ross at half-back.
Ross pauses on his kick, has Jones in the middle. That's where he heads. He leaves it instead for Hill, who takes the mark.
This will be 17 for Brad Hill. Prolific in this first half.
Cross half-back to Battle. Now it ends up with Wilkie at right half-back. He can go quickly. Good kick as well. And he finds Patton, who's away and running right half forward. Kick inside 50. Wasn't great for King, who had to go at it with one hand. Call there to mop up. Hand pass is okay to Young. And he finds Goldstein still inside the left back pocket.
Goldstein in field to McDonald. A couple of Sid Barker medalists combining for the Roos inside the defensive 50. Now to Core and now to Turner. He's off with a bounce in the defensive 50. Almost didn't come back to him. He was good enough to scoop it up. Kick long down the City side, looking for Powell. And it bounces out in front of him. Centre of the City wing. Saints by 27 points. Only the one goal kicked in this second term through 23 minutes. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Great to have you with us on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Anderson thumps it forward from the contest on the wing, and Curtis pulls in a good mark for the Roos. Kicks to full forward. Zurhaar in the wrestle with Wilkie. He was held. And Cam Zurhaar will take a free kick 20 metres out on a 45-degree angle to the right.
Is that a little fist pump he gave himself there? Only one that
you need to kick the goal after you do that. But he got a one-on-one, didn't he? And he got him into a wrestle. We know Wilkie's been sensational in this first half at coming off and impacting in the air, but caught in a wrestle. A lot of defenders are going to grab the jumper.
Important kick just before half-time. Zurhaar lets himself and his team down by missing it right from just 20 metres out. First score of this second term is a minor one for the Roos. They haven't kicked a goal since the 14-minute mark of the first, and they trail by 25.
Long kick from Sinclair to McKenzie, left half back outside of defensive 50. He just slows things down a little. McKenzie will go boundary side, low kick. Anderson chips in front. Didn't kill that contest though. Membry works the 1-2 with Crouch. He goes back to McKenzie, who tried to step around Horne-Francis, had to release the hand pass, did so to Gresham, who's got a bit of time. He goes inboard, back inside defensive 50 to Battle. And Battle will come to the broadcast wing, dockside. Wanganeen Miller takes the mark, who's looking natural on the wing this afternoon.
Coming up for disposal, number 8. 5 marks to go with it. Lopes away, puts it on the right boot towards Sharman. Picked off pretty easily by Walker. Chips defensively for Scott. Made him think about it as it hung in the air going toward fullback. Scott chips it short to Hayden, who's called to play on. Handball back to Bailey Scott in the back pocket for North Melbourne. Now looks to exit. Goes short instead to Simpkin, who's marked just inside the defensive 50 for the Roos. They trail by 26 points nearing half-time. Kicks along the boundary line. Finds Davies Uniacke. And that'll do us in the opening half here at Docklands. North Melbourne started pretty brightly, but the Saints have kicked the last 4 goals of the game either side of quarter time. Only the one there in that second term, but North Melbourne only added a behind. And at the main break, the margin is 26 points the way of St Kilda, the hosts this afternoon. The Saints 6 goals, 5-41 to North 2-3-15. All single goal kickers for both sides. Cooper Sharman with the lone goal in the second term there for the Saints. Dan McKenzie, Tim Membry, Paddy Ryder, Max King and Seb Ross also with goals for St Kilda. For North Melbourne, Todd Goldstein and Cam Zurhaar each kicked majors in that second term. Couple of games to follow today. Carlton and Collingwood for our audience in the Territory from 3:30 Central Time. And then for our South Australian audience at the same point after this game here at Docklands, you'll be headed to Port Adelaide and Essendon to complete round 11. The continuation of Sir Doug Nicholls' round in the AFL. Half-time here at Docklands, it sees St Kilda leading by 26 points, 6-5 to 2-3. For their reflections on the opening half, we'll hand it over to our experts on Grandstand AFL, Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins.
Well, it was a funny old quarter, Hawk. I mean, it felt like St Kilda dominated it for a large part. You know, they played the game in that front half. They had that team defence really well set up behind the ball. Wilkie was, really destructive in the way in his ability to come off and intercept mark, but they didn't translate on the scoreboard. They left a bit out there. Actually, only 13 inside 50s to 9. It just felt like that they had a lot more of the play and certainly had the game on their terms. And it wasn't until that last couple of minutes where North were probably able to get away with a few more risks in the way they moved the footy and get the ball forward. Unfortunately, Zurhaar wasn't able to score, to kick the goal.
Yeah, look, that would have been really handy because I feel like they're not playing that well here, North, but they're in the hunt. You mentioned St Kilda, their ability to be able to use the ball for the middle, but if they ever got clogged up down the line, the way that they were able to bring the ball off the line and come out the open side, but the reality is they fell a little bit apart when they went inside 70. That's probably something that they can improve on in the second half because North are in the game, but they're only moments away from being right out of it.
You feel like, and I mentioned it towards the end there. So, okay, Nick Larkey's not having a great day. I agree. He's working hard. He's competing really hard. He's halved a lot of contests, but yet to register a disposal. Cherry's only had the one. Goldstein was able to slip forward and kick a goal. And have an impact. But when you look at their other forwards, Curtis, he had a couple of moments, but only 5. Zeeble 5, Zurhaar 6. They're not getting a lot out of their smaller forwards as well. And I think it's one of those days that if Larkey's not going to be marking it, we know it falls away. They need to be having an impact at the fall of the ball. And in that quarter in particular, the Saints, smaller backs, half-backs, you look at the numbers. I mean, Brad Hill playing off the half-back flank, he's had 17 possessions. Jack Sinclair's had 17 possessions as well off the half-back flank. And Mackenzie getting back and Wilkie both had 13. So really, if you're looking at that group as a matchup, the Saints are well and truly on top with their back 6, back 7. And because you're right, North have had certainly have had a crack around the clearances. It's been pretty square around the middle of the ground, centre bounce and clearance. But the difference in the teams when the Saints are able to win the ball back at half back and spread the ground, create, make the ground big, switch the footy, use the flat side of the ground, bring blokes like Miller into the game. They've looked a lot more dangerous. They just weren't able to capitalise on the scoreboard. But North, on the other hand, have looked a lot more stop-start when they've won the ball at half-back. So they're able to shore up behind the footy towards the end of that quarter. Core, I thought, had some good moments, and they're able to get one back and at least restrict St Kilda's score. And we're only talking 4 goals. So David Noble could go in and say that we've got a lot of upside. We can play a lot better than we have, and we're only 4 goals behind. So there's some positives there for North, but it certainly did feel like, Joel, that the Saints dominated 90% of that quarter.
Just couldn't put it on the scoreboard. I'm interested, Tom, if you were playing alongside Nick Larkey or even just part of that North Melbourne room, and you've spoken about the fact that his contest work has been okay. He hasn't touched the ball to half-time. Would you be after him? Is there anything that you can change to get in the game a little bit more, or would it just be more of the same and the results will come? Because I imagine in that caper it can be pretty frustrating as a key forward at times.
Oh, it can be very frustrating. It's a bit of a lonely place because he's playing a little bit more one out today without other big sort of key aerial support. So for him, his ability to be able to position himself always a kick away from the football. So it requires high work rate. But from what I've seen in Nick Larkey's young career, he's got the ability to be able to cover the ground really well. So for him moving forward into the second half, I would just be trying to position yourself either down the line. It will help if North Melbourne can get a bit more flow through the game. Just thought that they broke down from the central part of the ground. So in his defence, it hasn't looked that good coming down to him. But he's just got to be able to keep positioning himself, adjusting, and just throwing different looks. But the more contests you get to, the more you're involved in the game. And it's funny when you're a key forward and a forward in particular. You can go for long periods of a game without touching the ball, but then all of a sudden, if your positioning is right and you continuing to work, it's funny how the game turns and you get rewarded.
Hopefully for Nick Larkey, that's the case here in the second half. North Melbourne trail by 26 points at half-time. It's the Saints 6-5-41 to the Roos 2-3-15 at the main break. Great to see a couple of Auskick games going on out here on the field at Docklands. All young girls out there doing their thing at half-time, which is terrific to see, and a couple of Auskick games going on out there at the moment. And you only have to drive around the suburbs of wherever you are if you're in a footy state, or even if you're not, and you see more young girls playing cricket, footy, soccer, rugby, whatever it is. And it's great to see them getting the opportunity to do their thing here at half-time of this game. It is St Kilda by 26 points at the main break. 6-5 plays 2-3. More to come from Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins very shortly, as well as the second half of this match. But for now, let's pause and take the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Federal Finance Minister Katie Gallagher says a move to implement spending caps on federal election campaigns should be considered. While expenditure caps exist at a state level, at a federal level there are currently no limits on how much parties can raise or spend trying to get elected. Senator Gallagher says money should not be dictating the election outcomes.
I think it's definitely a question we should look at and explore further in in light of the democracy, how it's working and the impact on elections, but this is for the Parliament to decide, not for individual members.
Russia's top diplomat in the UK says he doesn't believe his country would resort to using tactical nuclear weapons in its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Ambassador Andrei Kelin says it would not be in accordance with Russian military doctrine to use nuclear weapons in a conflict like the one in Ukraine.
We have very strict provision on the issues of the use of tactical nuclear weapon, and it is mainly when the existence of the state is endangered. It has nothing to do with the current operation.
The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners is warning that primary health care in Australia is on the verge of collapse. The number of young doctors choosing to be GPs has dropped to its lowest level in over 5 years. Spokesperson Dr Isabel Hansen says that without proper staffing, wait times for GP appointments will get worse.
This workforce shortage can lead to catastrophic outcomes in Australia because primary care is the backbone of our health system. 80% of healthcare happens in community, and this is management of diabetes, early diagnosis of cancer, management of depression and anxiety.
Premier Daniel Andrews says there's more work to be done before deciding if Victoria will join 3 other states in providing a free flu vaccine. South Australia has joined WA and Queensland in announcing free flu vaccinations amid concerns of a winter with high COVID and influenza cases, as well as trying to reduce hospital admissions. Mr Andrews says his government is still considering their move.
You've got to have a plan that sits behind it. You've got to have consultation, detailed discussions with the AMA, the Royal College of GPs, and of course the Pharmacy Guild to make sure that you've got all that work done to be able to deliver what you pay for or deliver what you offer.
The ACT has recorded 583 new COVID-19 cases in the latest reporting period, a significant drop from yesterday's figure of 822. There are 82 people in hospital with the virus, 2 are in intensive care, with 1 requiring ventilation. The Northern Territory Sacred Sites Authority is closely watching fracking preparation work at a giant cattle station in the top end. Sue Lannon reports.
Gas company Sweet Pea Petroleum started building an access road on Friday ahead of the construction of a well to explore for gas at Rallin, Australia's Tanambarini cattle station in the remote Beetaloo Basin in the Northern Territory. The pastoralists and traditional owners are worried that sacred sites could be damaged by the fracking works. The NT regulator, the Aboriginal Areas Protection Authority, has told the ABC it issued a protection certificate over the sacred sites in 2020, which remains valid and in force. Sweet Pea owner Tamboran Resources says the works will not harm the protected sacred sites on the property.
Floods and mudslides in Brazil have killed at least 35 people and large numbers have been left homeless. The BBC's Leonardo Rocha has the details.
Most of the victims died when their homes were buried in tons of mud following the collapse of a hillside in one of the poorest communities in the city of Recife, known as Ibura. There were mudslides in other poor areas of the city. Forecasters say more storms are expected in the next few weeks, which mark the beginning of the annual rainy season in Brazil's northeastern region. More than 70% of Recife's average rainfall for the month has fallen in the past day. The metro system and bus services were suspended across the city, which has a population of 1.5 million people.
Returning overseas, and Iran has declared today a national day of mourning for people killed in the collapse of a 10-storey tower block in the country's southwest. The death toll has now risen to 29, and more than a dozen people have been arrested following the discovery of structural faults in the building, as well as poor safety standards and the flouting of regulations. This is ABC News.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
This is Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Goes to Sinclair by hand, who just pops it to the hot spot. King didn't get a run at it, but Sharman did in front. got in front of that one-on-one, space on his opponent, and took a good mark 20 out directly in front. So in comes Sharman. 20 out, slide angle to the left, and he delivers the first goal of the second term. It's taken a while for the Saints. 16 minutes in.
The Sir Doug Nichols Round.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time at Docklands. The only goal of the second term. In the end, St Kilda by 26 points at the main break. 6-5-41 to North Melbourne 2-3-15 on Grandstand AFL. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you. Lauren Borden's on the boundary for us. Premiership winning Pie and Saints champ Luke Ball is with us, as well as Coleman medal winning Cat Tom Hawkins this afternoon. A couple of games to come, depending on where you're listening to us. You will hear either Carlton and Collingwood if you're in the Territory from 3:30 Central Time. And if you're in South Australia listening on ABC Radio Adelaide right through South Australia up into Broken Hill, you'll get the Power and the Bombers from the Adelaide Oval with Aaron Bryants, Neil Cross, Stephen Williams and Scott Camporelli. Rod Jamieson is laid out from that call team this afternoon with the flu, so the hot chip vendors at the Adelaide Oval will be run out of business today without Jamo to buy about 6 boxes there and load up with the chicken salt. Yeah, every time I used to work with Jamo, it was downstairs up into the box to put your stuff in, downstairs to get the hot chips. Andrew Williamson, our tech, has the secret stash of the good chicken salt inside the box.
Yeah. Really?
Yep.
It's a full-on operation.
It is an operation. It is down to a fine art. So, no, there won't be any chicken salt and chips at the Adelaide Oval in the broadcast box this afternoon, I'd imagine. With our broadcast team there, they'll take you through the rest of the afternoon. Plenty of sport happening across the course of the weekend. A rather remarkable story, the A-League men's competition last night. Western United winning the grand final 2-0 over Melbourne City. So third season in the competition under John Aloisi. And they've gone on to win. Of course, they still don't have a stadium. They don't really have a training base. There's a lot in front of Western United. They play a few games down in Geelong at Kardinia Park, and they've gone on to win the thing, and will paint the western suburbs green and black, I'd imagine, after that. Jai Hindley, the Australian cyclist, is in the box seat to win the Giro d'Italia, to become the first Australian to win the second of the Grand, or the first in terms of the calendar year, the second most important of the Grand Tours in cycling, which is a pretty momentous occasion for Australia in that sport. Of course, Cadel Evans won the Tour a few years ago. We've had success with Richie Porte at different levels. Guys like Chris Hamilton, Jack Haig have finished high up in the Vuelta a España. Matt Heyman, Stuart O'Grady have won Paris-Roubaix. Some of the big one-day classics have gone to the Australians. No Aussie has ever won the Giro d'Italia. And Jai Hindley from the Bora Hansgrohe team is in the box seat. 85 seconds he leads Richard Carapaz of Ecuador by. So that is going to be a big result if he can polish that off tonight in the time trial. And of course, a big day of footy yesterday. A couple of NRL games on this afternoon. If rugby league is your thing, of course, you can grab all our NRL coverage via the ABC Listen app. The Bulldogs and the Dragons underway at the moment. And it's the Dragons 4-2 after 24 minutes. Later today, the Raiders and the Eels will do battle. And then, of course, the rest of the round in the AFL to keep you company throughout the course of the day. If you're a Saints fan, you'd be pretty happy. You're inside the top 4 as things stand. Carlton to play a little bit later can tip you out, but came into the round in 5th, the Saints. And they may well stay there with a win here at Docklands this afternoon. 6-5-41 St Kilda to North Melbourne 2-3-15. Both sides out there going through their warm-ups for the second half. Good to have the Premiership winning Cat Tom Hawkins with us on Grandstand AFL, who played yesterday down at the Cattery. Came away with a win as well for what it was worth. Tom, the Cats looked like went about things pretty nicely yesterday. What was your reflections on yesterday's performance?
Yeah, look, we were happy. We had some stellar performances by some individuals that helped us play really good footy, but I think collectively we played really, really well against a side, Adelaide, who... look, their ladder position and their win-loss record probably doesn't really reflect where they're at as a football club.
Yeah, pretty plucky, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've got some really talented small young forwards that just run, get up in and around the contests, get involved and whiz forward. So they're very much a flighty side. They had a couple of players that were out, but Yeah, look, they're heading in the right direction. They're a really, really good side. They've got some great players all over the ground. Some nice youth in their side. So, they were really strong yesterday.
When was the last time someone had 34 kicks in a game of footy?
Might be quite some time ago, I'd imagine, Paulie.
Is he? He's not underrated anymore, Tom Stewart, is he? Given the CV he's putting together, but we speak about Callum Wilkie, being a late find, a mature age player. What a career Tom Stewart's putting together.
Yeah, he is, and he's, believe it or not, I think he's still developing, certainly as a player, to find the best way that he can impact each week, because he's faced some challenges with sides, obviously realising how important he is for us, but and how he overcomes that and can still be a real contributor. So his leadership has grown over the last couple of years. So look, yeah, it's a remarkable story. He's not underrated. I don't think that we underrate him, but the story in the background of where he's come from makes it such a remarkable story.
He seems like a pretty low-key operator. I don't think is he one to get around and tell you about how good he was, or he keep things pretty low profile?
No, he's low profile, Tom, but he'll find a way just to mention it whenever he can.
Yeah.
Marks.
16 marks, yeah.
What did he take? Had 34 kicks.
14 intercepts.
I think as players, we've all got a little bit of that in us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what makes them so good. Yeah.
Exactly.
And his defensive running mate, we're not too far away from a start here in the second half. Saints by 26. Sam DeConing.
Yeah.
Hasn't he been a find?
Unbelievable. And I sound like a bit of a broken record because I had to play on him or vice versa for the whole of pre-season, and he annoyed me. So he's been wonderful. We're just seeing him grow in confidence, which is great. And the one thing that we'll touch a little bit on later on in the program, but these key position players that come into the game now, they're so big. Sam, 203 centimetres, so it's quite incredible.
There's one out there for the Saints in Max King. Saints fans hoping he can get on the end of a few here in the second half. The hosts by 26 as we turn for the second half on Grandstand AFL. Here's Andrew Mays.
St Kilda with the clearance. McKenzie back into the middle. Hand pass is okay. Crouch lost his footing. Back to McKenzie by hand. That's okay to Owens. And now to Battle. And the run-off halfbacks provided by Sinclair. He puts boot to ball. Gets it out wide to the wing. Mark taken by Wood. Just looking for a way through at the moment. Short kick is okay to Membry, who came up on a long lead. Membry just forward of centre wing. City side of the ground. St Kilda with 6 goals in the opening half. North 2. Margin 26 points. Kick is into the forward pockets, and no one in particular. Young dropped the uncontested mark. Long got onto it for St Kilda. Hand pass to Marshall. Inboard. Oh, McKenzie might have been taken high there. No free kick. Webster flying shot at goal. Misses everything out of bounds on the foot. Bit stiff there, Dan McKenzie.
Well, we'll keep an eye on him. He's up and about, but he copped a inadvertent, was it an arm or Jack Zeeble, who again is not the bloke you want to run into. Oh, gee whiz.
Scott kicks down the line for Perez off the replay screen, boys.
Oh, no issue from Zeeble's point of view, but a big hit.
Just physical. Perez goes inboard to McDonald. Now to the overlap run of Bailey Scott inside the defensive 50. Cuts it through the centre now for Curtis, who ran into trouble and then sold Anderson into even more of it. He got caught holding the ball. Free kick going to Ben Long, who hands off to Bradley Hill, who gets to the front point of the square, kicks to full forward. King front spot, hand to it, can't mark. Gresham's there, collects the crumbs, hooks it over his shoulder, misses right hand side. Margin 27 the way of the Saints. Bit of State League footy going on today as well. Grand final in the Sandford women's competition. In the first quarter, it's Sturt 3-4 to North Adelaide 1-1.
From the kick in, Cora a little indecisive. He's able to fashion a little ball to Davies Uniacke. Davies Uniacke out wide to Goldstein, who presents on a lead. Takes it at right half back. A lot of options forward. Larkey had led up. Oh, it's a shocking kick. Inboard now, Ross intercepts and had his head collected as well, too high. So he'll be able to reset from about 60. Seb Ross starts inside, called to play on, was stuck on his right foot, got back onto his left. Short chiseling ball's good, claimed to be touched, umpire didn't call it. Going back, and the man to have a shot will be Windhager. North. There's about 5 players who claim that was touch, but it got through to him quick enough.
Need Snicko for that one, I think.
Yeah.
Play by Seb Rice, but just a couple of missed tackles again from North. Create this shot at goal.
Windhager, speaking of solid units, he's won himself from 35 out. Slight angle to the left. He makes no mistake for St Kilda, who are on the board in the second half. 7-6-48 the Saints, 2-3-15 the Roos. We've played 3 minutes in this third quarter.
Nice finish. He's been another find, hasn't he? Windhager, I think he was part of their Next Gen Academy, along with Mitch Owen. So always good when you can bring some players in and bring them up through your own ranks and develop them. Yeah, Mackenzie's coming off. My sense is that the Docs would have had a look at that replay, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lozzie goes down for a precautionary. Yeah, he is down in the rooms. No, for a concussion test. It was a big knock, but very tough and brave. Got straight back up. But yeah, Windhager, just another one of those players, those unsung players that the Saints are starting to build a nice list of 30-odd players now who can come in and play a role.
Called a ball here, down he goes.
So back in the middle, 33-point lead to the Saints. North moving forward, but Battle whacks it back the other way. High footy to half forward. Taylor's there for North Melbourne. Hayden too, taken to the ground by Membry. Umpire said it was okay. Steaming through is Zerha trying to take the ball with him. Simpkin tried to flip it up in the tackle. He was adjudged to have thrown it. And it'll be a free kick to Mitch Owens, another of their NGA products.
Saints' pressure's been great. At times, North have invited it by overusing or not executing their disposals as Mitchie Owens kicks it out of bounds on the full. But yeah, the Saints' pressure's been up where they need it to be a top 4 team this year.
For me, North Melbourne, if they can just control the ball in the contest, stoppages are okay. I reckon too often has it been fumbling out.
Cordy Young, right half back for North Melbourne, looking for a way through this St Kilda zone. High kick. We'll give Larkey a chance. He went at it with one hand in the end, just got under the ball a tad. Perez tackled off it. Hand pass from Wanganeen Miller. Back to Sinclair. Sinclair, dainty little inside-out tour. Back into the middle. He's turned it over. Simpkin runs away, takes a bounce. He's got Zeeble inside 50. That's where he heads and hits him. Lovely hit up, and now Zeeble can go back and try and kick this from about 45 metres. Let's head downstairs quickly, Lauren.
Yeah, so Mackenzie did end up going downstairs for a concussion test, tried to wave away the doctors and the physios, but they've dragged him down now.
Lauren keeping an eye on that for us at ground level.
And that's much better from Jai Simpkin. I've been a bit critical of his ball use earlier in this game, but he looked up. He had to give Zeeble time to get back inside 50, held the ball, and then a lovely little chip kick to him.
He's had a couple of opportunities, Jack Zeeble, to put his stamp on his 250th, and this one he nails. And his teammates come from everywhere. And congratulate their skipper in game number 250. He has his first. North have their first since the 14-minute mark of the opening quarter. And the margin is 27 points in favour of the Saints.
Well, he's had 3 shots at goal, Hawk, Zeeble, so he's put himself in good positions.
Yeah, he has. He's provided a target. He's running pattern forward of the ball. Obviously realised that Jai had space. He could run and carry. Had the ability to be able to use the overlap if he wanted to, but chose not to, which is fine. He's such a beautiful user of the footy. Sees the game really well, but that's really smart by Zeeble to be able to come across, create space and then lead up into it. But beautiful finish. They're still in the hunt here.
Thoughts of Tom Hawkins alongside Luke Ball on Grandstand AFL. The restart, Ryder wins it down. Owens is after it for the Saints. Patton's there as well for St Kilda. Ryder, handball through traffic. Crouch hasn't been as busy this afternoon. His handball knocked down. Davis Uniacke. Oh, Simpkin puts the step on Wood. Kicks inside the 50, no good. And Sinclair is floating back with the flight to take the mark. Disposal number 20 for the Saints. Mulleted defender. Chips short to Wilkie, who's been busy as well in St Kilda colours. Rolls around onto his left foot, kicks the broadcast side wing. Ryder got rid of Goldstein in the contest, then handball to the outrider that was Mason Wood, who slams the Saints inside the 50, looking for King, couldn't take it. Gresham's at ground level, Hayden's there with him, dragged him down without it. That was a little bit clumsy. And Jade Gresham will take the free kick. 45 metres out, 5 in from the boundary left forward pocket.
He's looked dangerous, Gresham, hasn't he? Hasn't converted on the scoreboard as yet, but he's certainly getting a lot of opportunities inside forward 50 for the Saints.
Kick to behind to start them off here in the third term. He's going to go round the body from 45.
This is a big ask.
He's going to have to get a very, very good bit of this. He's got almost all of it. He's got it all the way. They've all missed it on the goal line, and Jade Gresham wheels away in celebration. The North Melbourne fans shake their head in disbelief, thinking, how did they let that through? Gresham snaps from 45, gets another for the Saints. The margin's 33, 8.5 minutes gone in the third term.
Footy's a funny game. What was he, 45 out? It's probably travelled maybe 43. Yeah, I'm sure the North Melbourne defenders and coaching staff are sitting there scratching their head, wondering how the ball was allowed
Goldie.
to do that.
He's just had a fresh area in the end, two of them between him and Josh Walker. That had to get a hand on that. You're right. I mean, that's the sort of stuff, attention to detail, that is in your control a bit. So that'll really frustrate David Noble.
Poor bounce in the middle, favoured Sherry, and North almost able to burst clear from this. Simpkin just held his opponent for too long. Jones will get the free kick. So the Saints with another chance here on the wing. Jones, awkward kick. Wood had to backtrack, took the mark. Short kick is okay. He advances it to Long. Long can wheel around and go high inside 50. King the target, worked his way to the front, went with the one hand again. Just too strong, Windhanger, in that contest. His kick towards goal smothered. He went at it again. Windhanger almost onto it. Big contest there. Owens bounced out of it. Now North with a chance, although the blind kick forward isn't great. Webster tracking back, able to trap the ball. Off to Hill. Hill can load up and go inside 50. Pulled the kick. It was just over the head of Marshall. Into the forward pocket. It rolls out for a boundary throw-in.
33 points the Saints lead. 10 minutes gone in the third.
Fighting on pretty well, Josh Walker, I reckon, Hawk. It looked like Max King early on could be in for a day, but he's been good since that first quarter.
Ball spun back into play. Marshall knocks it down toward Crouch. Big tackle laid by the Saints midfielder. It's locked up inside the 50.
He's just been able to use his body well a couple of times and just, what have we got here, a blood rule. Yeah, just not let King have the run and jump that he would have liked, and just using his experience to body him out of position.
Yeah, agree. We talked a little bit about Wilkie and his craft and ability to be able to use his body at the other end, but you're right, Josh Walker, any time that he's got Max in a one-on-one contest, he's looked really strong. His ability to be able to move is probably not his strength when the ball hits the ground, but he's doing a fantastic job to keep him where he wants him.
Taylor tried to spin out of trouble inside the defensive 50 for the Roos, the restart, as Sherry came off with a bit of claret. As now Scott tumbles it outside the defensive 50 for North, but it's marked by Wangadeen Miller. Can send the Saints back inside the forward 50. Directs some traffic and absolutely darts one onto the chest of King.
Anytime he's got a bit of space, and again, he can move forward at the footy, he's just almost impossible to stop. But
when you get a laser-guided missile like that, it certainly helps.
And look at the replay, he actually directed the big forward into that space, into that little pocket of space. There wasn't a heap there, but that's why they're so excited about him. Wangadeen Malera.
He's become the third quarter specialist this year, Max King. He's kicked plenty of goals after half-time, and this kick is no exception. He finishes off a beautiful bit of delivery inside the 50. And the Saints really kicking away now, lead by 39, a game high. 9-6-60 to North 3-3-21. 12 gone third term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins.
Yeah, two of the young guns, two of the young guns involved, and beautiful kick. We just finished giving Walker a bit of a rap, hadn't we? But he gave him too much space there.
Yeah, he sure did. And one of the things that's really impressed me, again, I touched on it earlier, but just the connection with St Kilda's defence and their formation, just being able to turn the ball over on their half-forward line and then being able to score off the re-entry. It's been super impressive.
Ball back in the middle. Nice bounce by the umpire. Now shepherding free kick's gone against Ryder there. Pretty much everyone in the middle looked at the umpire to see which way that was going. Goldstein, long kick inside 50. Zurhar attacked it strongly. Couldn't complete the mark at ground level. Was Perez taken out of it? No, says the umpire. Hill able to pick it up for the Saints. Awkward kick straight to Goldstein. Through his hands though. Had to turn tackler and Ryder shrugged him. Hand pass over the top to Winhager. Now to Wanganeen Millerer. Chip over the top. Looking for Sharman. Getting in front of him there was Turner. Didn't complete the mark. Hand pass is okay though. Anderson to Thomas. The cross half back here for the Roos. Almost to Hayden, not quite. Intercepted by Membry at centre half forward.
He pinched it going back with the flight. Dragged it in as he fell to the turf. Chips it short, finds Gresham, who's been such a welcome inclusion back into this St Kilda team. Kicks inside the 50, steaming out from full forward again is King. Marks 40 out, 45-degree angle right of centre.
The work of the St Kilda forwards off ball was unbelievable then, just to be able to get in the way of Josh Walker. Clearly he wants to play him tight, clearly he wants the ball coming in so he can lock him down in a one-on-one, but again Max King gets that separation off the back of the teammates working for him and takes an uncontested mark inside forward 50.
Came into the game 4 goals off the Coleman lead. He won't close in with that. It's across the face and end up marked by Core in the back pocket for North. Didn't have the distance or the accuracy.
Long kick out is almost okay. North had numbers, although the boundary line's going to beat everyone, and Battle and Zeeb will have a bit of a tumble as they get to their feet.
See, even Aiden Core there, just he played on straight away from a mark. If he can just settle them down, just allow North Melbourne to catch their breath, they might just be able to gain a little bit more control back in the game.
Ross doing a lot of work at ground level there. He was tackled over the top. Thomas lucky not to give a free kick away. Ball tossed up immediately. Right, a lovely ruck work again down to Gresham. He gave Mason Wood a bit of a hospital hand pass, so made sure he was on riding shotgun for the 1-2. Fed it back to Sinclair. High kick around the boundary is okay. No mark taken. Winhanger off the pack, taken in a strong tackle. And Core receives the free kick right half back.
Got caught there, Windhager, but he's been good this afternoon. Core to Hayden. Oh, the West Australian. That's an awful kick off the outside of the boot. Straight to Wanganeen Millerer, who doesn't need an invitation. Goes inside the 50. He was looking for long. Oh, Turner's dropped it at fullback for North. It comes out to Owens. Snaps for his first goal in the top flight. He's got it. And the Saints sprint to Michito Owens. Second game, first goal. And the light show at Marvel, it does light up things for St Kilda. 10-6, playing 3-3. It's now a 45-point lead to the Saints through 16 minutes of the third.
We've spoken about the Saints' pressure, Hawk, but geez, they've been helped by some really unforced errors. And the one before that, they got away with it. I think it was Taron Thomas trying to kick the ball inside, and that time it was Kyron Hayden. Just off one step, lazy kick. Got to make sure of those. You're fighting hard to keep yourself in the game. You just give the ball back to the opposition in your back half. And then it was Kane Turner with a mistake as well that leads to the goal. So little stuff that's controllable that they can fix. North is bringing them undone.
And another clearance here for the Saints out of the middle. Jones, kick inside 50, not marked by anyone. Young was gone off the ground. It's another one. Owens took a long time to kick his first. He's got his second within 30 seconds. Oh, talk about taking your opportunity. 2 in a minute for Mitch Owens. And the lead is now 51 points as
Don't come off. What's he doing?
To a standing ovation from the Saints supporters below.
Oh, you get three in a minute. What's he coming off for? He can't be tired, Hawke. He's just kicked 2 in 30 seconds.
It is
His
a
first
nice
2 goals.
It's a nice feeling though, running off and
That's true.
And getting a cheers. Because I tell you what, when you come off and it goes the other way, it's a bit ordinary.
Yeah, that's true.
Beautiful setup ahead of the footy, created by the contest. Enough players were in and around the contest, meaning that St Kilda had a really good look ahead of the footy before the ball was bounced.
Good tackle, wasn't it, Ben Long? That's what he's in the team for. And you can tell they're hungry, aren't they, the Saints? They can sniff blood now.
4 in a row for the Saints and 9 of the last 10 since the late stages of the opening term. Kicked the only goal of the second quarter. They kicked the first here. North kicked the second. Saints with 4 quick ones to open up a 61 or 51 point advantage. Ball's not going anywhere on the point of the square. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you in Grandstand AFL throughout, on ABC Radio throughout South Australia and the Territory. Tom Hawkins and Luke Ball, your experts. Lauren Borden with us on the boundary. Free kick to the Roos at the stoppage. Horn Francis to Taylor, whose kick along the boundary line was over the boundary line. And Ben Patton takes the penalty free kick for St Kilda, directs the kick infield and finds Crouch between the AFL logo and the centre square.
Crouch, chip over the top to Sinclair, who's in a mountain of space. He just puts it up high, waiting for King, leaps, one grab, second, not the third. At ground level, St Kilda with numbers. Good tackle, though, on Long. Ball spills free. Turner, awkward one. Low ball taken by Walker. Walker just hangs his kick out, and getting in late was Marshall. He gave away the free kick. In fact, he's given away 50 against Marshall for Taylor there, who'll be marched beyond defensive 50. Not quite sure that was 50. It was only just a mark. Applied a bit of pressure, and Taylor with the free kick at half-back.
Subbed out last week, Curtis Taylor takes his spot in the side this week. Played every game since round 5 last year for the Roos. Kicks to half forward. Curtis read it nicely after a couple of Saints collided. But his handball turned over, and scooping it up was Ross at half-back for St Kilda. Measures the pass out to Marshall between the wing and left half-back. Jones scoots past, so too Gresham. Marshall ignores both of them, goes longer looking for his ruck partner in Ryder. Took it off the hands of Corr, and then got tackled by Corr and Turner, and caught holding the ball. And Paddy's on for a little bit of afters and pins both of them.
It's a big tackle, wasn't it? Big tag team. Slam.
Good effort by Turner to get to his feet too. Turner, aggressive kick in the middle. It's a good one too. Horn Francis takes the mark. Couldn't quite go straight away. Has to change the direction of attack. Miss Simpkin with the kick. Bounces over his head. Walker there to mop up. Awkward ball going forward. Lovely pick up by Powell. Works it to Scott. Out wide still by hand to Simpkin. Inside 50 with the kick. Zerha low down takes the mark.
Oh, it's labour intensive, isn't it, Hawke? It's not great viewing. It's not pretty at all, North. They're just not treating the ball. That old saying, treat the ball like gold at times. Uncontested, even unforced errors, handballs that are going to feet and a couple of metres ahead. But anyway, finds itself on the chest of Cam Zerha.
One thing it was to advantage, and they're taking the ball on and off the lines.
Goldstein with a massive lead from Zerha's kick. What a grab that was from the veteran, one of his best. Didn't know he could get up that high still, Todd Goldstein. And he's taken it just right of the goal square. Deserves a goal. He's going to go round the corner, the big man. He kicked one from the pocket with the banana in the opening stages of the first term. And he turns around on his left and snaps that from 15 out. Well done, Todd Goldstein. And the Roos have their 4th of the afternoon. 4-3-27 plays 11-6-72. Saints comfortable here in the third quarter.
One thing we love and admire about Todd Goldstein is his craftiness. I think sometimes we underestimate how good the man is away from the centre bounce or a stoppage. His ability to be able to transition over the ground, take marks. I think he's really skillful for a big man. He's been a wonderful, wonderful servant for their football club. And a huge mark.
Yeah, wasn't it? Just had plenty of space, didn't he? Cherry was down there as well, and he put a nice block on Marshall, but no one around him, and kick fell short. Used a few of those old basketball hops.
Always nice to take it over an old teammate as well, with the stepladder being Mason Wood.
Sort of been very familiar, the pair of those. Todd Goldstein. And he continues to impress, age 33. Best and fairest winner for North, of course, and All-Australian. All-time leader in terms of hit-outs in the AFL. He's been such a good player for such a long time. Saints methodically move it from the stoppage after Gresham took it. It's found its way to Crouch and now to Wood between the wing and half forward for St Kilda. Kicks inside the forward 50. Marshall the target. Brought it down. Hayden ran straight into the Sharman tackle. Umpire crosses the arms and says we will have a ball up. 25 metres out from the Saints goal. 45 points is the lead. Marshall takes it out of the ruck for St Kilda. Hooks it around the body. Ricochets back to Hayden. It's knocked away from him. King picks it up, puts it on the left and snaps his third.
How good was the footwork?
Nice little blind turn from Max King in traffic. He closes in to be with one of Charlie Curnow for the Coleman lead. 32 on the season, 23 minutes gone, third term. It's the Saints back out by 51 before the thoughts of Tom Hawkins and Luke Ball. Let's get downstairs to Lauren Borden.
It's a pretty buoyant St Kilda bench, as you can imagine. Even better news for Saints fans is Daniel McKenzie has passed the concussion test, so he's just run back on after being on the bench for about 10-12 minutes, and Owen's about to get back on as well, hopefully to get his third.
You were talking of craft earlier, Hawk. That was very nice from King.
It was. Have a look at this. Bit of a sell the dummy.
Oh, the little drop step.
Pivot, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Sort of turnaround jumper.
Post move, the dream shake from Max King.
He kicks a lot of goals like that, doesn't he? He's, as we know, he's so adept at ground level as well for a 204 centimetre.
Back in the middle. Awkward bounce. It favours North Melbourne. One down to Anderson, who gave it to Simpkin. High kick towards centre half forward. Zeeble a couple of goes at it. Brought it to ground. Couldn't complete the mark. Had to turn tackler with Anderson in the end and locks things up inside the centre square. It is amazing how agile those guys coming through are, who are over 200 centimetres. Always used to be a little bit uncoordinated as soon as there was a 2 in front of your height, but no, they're incredible athletes now. North Melbourne trying to work this across half back. Anderson, his hand pass back to McDonald, put him under all sorts of pressure, going nowhere. Ball held up, and St Kilda just able to hold it again inside their attacking half. Ball up to take place at centre half forward.
North have got Luke McDonald just sitting behind the play, just trying to give them a bit of support to stem the bleeding here.
They win it forward from the stoppage. Horn Francis' kick found Zeeble. It comes inside the forward 50 for the Saints. King tried to just force his way through the pack. Ross is there for St Kilda. Big tackle from Zeeble on Jones. Wins a free kick. Made him earn that. He has been imposing himself out there today, Jack Zeeble, in game 250. He chips it to the back edge of the centre square for Anderson. 6 goals already in this term for the Saints. They're the best third quarter team in the competition and flexing their muscle here against the competition's worst third quarter team. Turl Curtis is brought down. That's a really good tackle. And Mason Wood wins a free kick for the Saints. He shoots it defensively to Wilkie, who takes the slips catch, and he kicks awkwardly for Howard, but he's going to do enough with this at full back.
Well, he still hasn't picked it up. It's dribbling around. Finally got to his hands and flares it short. Sharman takes the mark. Still at left half back for the Saints. Had all the time in the world there to mop up the mess. Sharman. Cross defensive 50 to Wilkie. Out wider still to Hill. Hill flares it over the top to Wood and back to Hill. Horn Francis chases him. What a chase by the youngster. Hill got to his feet. Probably should have been holding the ball. North turn it over anyway. Curtis, high kick inside 50. Larky can get a run at this from about 3 deep and took the mark. Well, it deserved better after Horn Francis didn't get the free kick. And hopefully Larky can make the Saints pay for North fans who are full of voice in the forward pocket.
Oh, he certainly thought he should have got the free kick. It was a great chase, wasn't it? He got up and had to be a little bit careful not to have the free kick, to have the ball reverse, and the teammates just settle him down a bit. But they run to give him a pat on the back, because that's great stuff. Doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. Efforts like that, terrific.
He's worked hard all afternoon, Nick Larky. Not rewarded as of yet with a goal, and still not pushes that to the left. One behind. 4-4-28 the Roos. 12-6-78. The Saints 50 points even the margin.
Had a tough day last week, Nick Larky. Just the one goal and a 50-metre penalty going to the Saints here. Dougal Howard sprints into the centre of the ground. He's got runners going past everywhere. Flares it to Hill, who's got open space, cruises through the 50, eyes the sticks from 40, sets sail for home, misses. Left-hand side minor score, but that was way too easy. Even with the aid of the 50-metre penalty, the margin back at 51, the way of St Kilda.
I know he's missed that, but it's something else watching Brad Hill live. He does not stop moving. I mean, we hear about it in the AFL circles, and when you're analysing an opposition and we play against Brad Hill, we know that he's a good runner, but to watch him move live is something else.
North into the pocket, then back to McDonald. McDonald short again, into the right back pocket. Core takes it. One dummy, takes a trot, goes long. Larky the target, pushed out of it. And Ryder's able to see it over with Davies Uniacke for company. Let's head downstairs. Lauren Borden.
Yeah, a bit of a concern for St Kilda. Marshall's just gone down into the rooms. He was struggling with his right shoulder and just trying to put his arms above his head and prove he had a bit of mobility, but he's had to go down into the rooms with the doctor.
All right, keep an eye on that for us, Lauren, and I'm sure for Saints fans as well. From the stoppage, Simpkins slams it on his boot. It'll fall short. Actually hit the chest of Zerha, which is a big one, and it ricocheted about 10 metres. Bit of scrappy ball here at half forward. Hill over the top. Davies Uniacke gets onto it. Couldn't break the tackle. Owen stuck it and should be rewarded. He is. Good defensive running from the midfielder. And he receives the free kick, left half back.
How do you reckon he's gone today, Berkey? Mitch Owens. Bawley even.
Really impressed. Yeah, I can see why they've brought him into the team.
Clearly spent far too much time with Nathan Burke. Sev Ross off half-back.
Nathan Burke-like tackle, that one.
Shoots the handball to Gresham, who whips it across the centre square to Wood. Great vision. They open things up to the city side here, the Saints. Wood to Membry, who's worked hard all day. Marks out at right half forward. On the flank, comes back inboard to Wood. Got a shove after he took the mark. Umpire says it was okay. Wood rolls around onto his left boot. Kicks inside the 50. King with a run. Couldn't get hands to it. Spills to ground. Crouches there for the Saints. Around the corner to Long. Kept it in somehow to Sinclair. Spears it inside the 50. And Flynn Perez takes the juggling mark in defence for the Roos. Saints by 51. Closing in on three-quarter time here at Docklands.
Perez will go to the right back pocket. Sherry takes the mark. He can go further still to Zerha. Opts against that. Holds things up. Going into protection mode here. The kick was a little dicey. Young's able to stretch and take it. And that'll do us for the third quarter. A nice one for the Saints. They led by 26 at half-time. And at the final break, they now lead by 51, and they'll be looking to boost their percentage as much as they can. The goal kickers will start with North. 2 to the Goldstein, including that good hanger in the third term. Singles to Zeeble and Zerha for the Saints. 3 to King. 2 to Owens within a minute in that third term. And singles to Gresham, Ryder, McKenzie, Membry, Ross, Sharman and Windhager.
Plenty to like about the way the Saints have gone about it. A 6-goal third quarter. They are the best third quarter team in the competition, and they proved it there. They turned for home, leading by 51 at Docklands to start your Sunday afternoon of football off. 12-7-79 the Saints, the Roos 4-4-28, the final term on the other side of this on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
This is Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Windhager from 35 out, slight angle to the left. He makes no mistake for St Kilda, who are on the board in the second half. He's had a couple of opportunities, Jack Zeeble, to put his stamp on his 250th, and this one he nails.
Mason Wood, who slams the Saints inside the 50, looking for King, couldn't take it. Gresham's at ground level, Hayden's there with him, dragged him down without it. And Jade Gresham will take the free kick. 45 metres out, 5 in from the boundary left forward pocket. Kick to behind to start them off here in the third term. He's going to go round the body from 45.
It's a long way out, isn't it?
He's going to have to get a very, very good bit of this. He's got almost all of it. He's got it all the way. And Jade Gresham wheels away in celebration. He's become the third quarter specialist this year, Max King. He's kicked plenty of goals after half time, and this kick is no exception. He finishes off a beautiful bit of delivery inside the 50. Ball to Hayden. Oh, the West Australian. That's an awful kick off the outside of the boot. Straight to Wangadeen Miller, who doesn't need an invitation. Goes inside the 50. He was looking for long. Oh, Turner's dropped it at fullback for North. It comes out to Owens. Snaps for his first goal in the top flight. He's got it.
Another clearance here for the Saints out of the middle. Jones, kick inside 50, not marked by anyone. Young was gone off the ground. It's another one.
Marshall takes it out of the ruck for St Kilda, hooks it around the body. Ricochets back to Hayden. It's knocked away from him. King picks it up, puts it on the left, and snaps his third.
The Sir Doug Nichols Round
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It was all the Saints in that third term. 6 goals they piled on to lead by 51 at three-quarter time. 12-7-79 St Kilda, North Melbourne 4-4-28. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital through South Australia and the top end. If you're with us in the Territory, next you'll be headed to Carlton and Collingwood. But for our South Australian audience, it's to the Adelaide Oval, where Port Adelaide take on Essendon. To preview that game for us is Aaron Bryans. G'day, Az.
G'day, Joel. Great to have a game between two sides that were expected to make finals and are now kind of battling to keep their seasons alive. So there's plenty of pressure heading into this contest to conclude round 11, and there's some big names coming back in as well. Both spearheads for both clubs, Charlie Dixon, Harrison Jones, with ankle injuries across the year, get to play their first games of the season. Riley Bonner and Jordan Ridley are also back into the 22. And there's a big storm expected to hit right at bounce down. So there's a lot of factors that could contribute to the result. And history doesn't actually favour the visitors either. The Bombers haven't beaten Port Adelaide since round 23 of 2018. So there's plenty of ways you can look at it. I'm sure that most people will be tipping the home side, but Port Adelaide at times have been known to take their foot off the pedal against teams that they probably should be beating. You'll have Neil Cross alongside me, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams and Liz Walsh. We'll check in with both camps in the pre-game as well. Plenty to look forward to, Joel. Coming up next on Grandstand AFL, it's Port Adelaide and Essendon.
Thanks, Az. Good team assembled at the Adelaide Oval there to take you through the rest of your afternoon here on Grandstand AFL. And if you're with us through the Territory, you're headed to Carlton and Collingwood at the MCG. Matt Clinch leading our broadcast along with Brett Sprigg for that one. Three-quarter time at Docklands, 12-7 the Saints, 4-4 the Roos. Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins are your experts on Grandstand AFL with their impressions of that third term.
Well, they're hanging on for dear life a bit north, aren't they? And we were talking off air, Hawk, I think in and around the contest their effort's been okay. They've laid 55 odd tackles, so from that point of view, when the game's been in tight, they've competed okay. You just get the sense that as the game's gone on, as the game opens up, St Kilda have been able to attack with a nice big open ground. I think they've got 50 odd more uncontested possessions. And really, they left a bit out there, the Saints. North have only had 21 inside 50, so for all the challenges of Nick Larkey and his forward group across the day, you can't do much with only 21 inside 50s, can you? And the Saints have had 45, so they have dominated the game. And you feel like there's a kill, if the Saints are serious and wanting to be a ruthless team, there's a kill on offer for them here. From North's point of view, well, it's great. I look down, they've got Horn Francis, Davies Uniacke in the centre bounce. Give these kids some exposure now and let them play out the game. Set them a challenge if you're David Noble. Let's see if we can win the quarter.
They've only won one final quarter so far this year. They can try and add to that here and eat into this 51-point lead of St Kilda, and they've started the right way with the clearance. Goldstein down to Simpkin, to Davies Uniacke, high inside the 50. Zerha was held and will get a free kick.
Callum Wilkie stiff there,
Callum Wilkie doesn't throw the arms out, he just puts the hand up to cover his mouth and mutters something quietly into his fingers.
Yeah, and I reckon Cam Zerha looked up a bit guiltily, didn't he? Or he had the guilty face on.
Maybe no fist pump this time.
No, it was a double hold. I reckon that one's play on almost talk, isn't it?
Yeah,
double wrestle, double hold.
Wow, I reckon I'm a forward talking here, but the defender should have nearly got that.
Maybe a little bit of justice. Cam Zerha's missed with the set shot kick. 1 goal, 2 on the afternoon for he. Margin 50 points. We're 50 seconds into this final term.
St Kilda quickly through Hill to Sinclair, back to Hill, running through centre half back. He took on Zeeble and got rid of him too. Good strength there from Hill. He flares it out wide. Not a great kick for McKenzie. Ball was able to be easily spoiled. Bounced back to him. And then nice tackle by Perez, who brings him to ground and locks things up. Ball up, left half forward for the Roos. Coming through the stoppage was Zeeble. And it'll be Goldstein, in fact, who gets the free kick. Gives it to Zeeble by hand. He goes into the forward pocket. Zurhaar sets himself. No mark taken. Hill front and centre, able to rove. Hand pass to Battle, to Sinclair, to Wilkie all by hand. And Wilkie, poor kick coming out of defence over the head of Wangling Miller. And out for a boundary throw in the left back pocket for the Saints.
The signs are good here for the Kangaroos in the start of the last. I like their ability to be able to play the game in their forward half. They're restricting St Kilda and the way that they like to move the ball up and down the ground.
Coleman medalist Tom Hawkins with you on Grandstand AFL this afternoon. No late changes over at the MCG. Bo McCreary, the sub for Collingwood. Carlton's sub is Jack Carroll. In State League footy, the Sandfield W Grand Final going on at the Parade this afternoon. Sturt 4-4 lead North Adelaide 3-2. Couple of goals to India Rashid in that game. Senior Women's Grand Final, 15 years old, kicking a couple of goals in a Grand Final. Not a bad effort. The Roos enter the 50 here, and Anderson pulls one out of the air. He will go back and have a shot from 45 metres out, at a 30-degree angle to the right of centre.
Certainly been one of North's best today. I think even across the four quarters, this will be his 23rd possession to go with 11 tackles, so certainly couldn't question his effort and intent today, Jed Anderson.
Top three in their best and fairest in 2020, played just 7 games, season ruined by an ankle injury last year. Comes in from 49 metres out and strikes it beautifully. Lovely fluid kicking motion from Jed Anderson. He wasted no energy with that, certainly didn't waste the opportunity, and gets the first of the final term for North Melbourne to cut the margin to 44. 5-5 the Roos, 12-7 the Saints. We've played 3 minutes here on Grandstand AFL.
And you're right, Hawk, it's a good start. A couple of times they've been able to close the space and not let St Kilda waltz the ball out of their back half like they were able to do in that third quarter in particular. Create some pressure, create a couple of forward half stoppages, and Saints just leaving the wingman out the back of that stoppage in the end to create that kick forward to Jed Anderson. And as we said, has tried really hard today. He's been good.
Back in the middle, margin 44 points. 3 minutes played, final term. Simpkin can win this out of the middle too. Hand pass to Goldstein. Loops the hand pass to Horn-Francis. Further afield to Davies-Uniacke. Back to Horn-Francis. Another hand pass out wide to Taylor, and again to Anderson, who becomes the first kicker in the chain. Kicks to Davies-Uniacke, who poked the pass into the pocket, just out of reach for Simpkin, out for a boundary throw before he could reel it in.
Albeit the drop mark inside forward 50, it just goes to show when you can send your teammate on the way with a handball or kick, how effective they can be with the footy.
Goldstein grabbed it from the ruck, handed it to Zurhaar. His kick smothered. St Kilda onto it now through Jones. Out wider still to Wangini Miller. I reckon he looked at the accelerator, pushed it, unfortunately left the ball behind. Now a chance for North Melbourne. Zurhaar on the end of a short pass. He can go back from 70. They want to enter 50 here. He goes low towards Larkey. He's got 2 for company again. Oh, Curtis might have been taken high in that tackle. Hit the contest hard and strong. And the tackle slipping over the shoulder here. And he's slowly getting to his feet, Paul Curtis. He does eventually. And he'll line up from about 20 out. Fairly tight angle to the right. He's a left footer and should be able to bring this back.
And it was Larkey again who was able to create the contest. So, as we've said all day, you're not having a great day, you can still work and create a contest.
Curtis snaps and puts it through. So a couple in the final term here for North Melbourne. Margin back to 38 points after 5 minutes. Let's head downstairs. Lauren Borden.
Rowan Marshall spent three-quarter time getting the right shoulder heavily strapped. Still looks a little bit uncomfortable, but he's just relieved Paddy Ryder of ruck duties and come back on the field.
Looks a bit sore, Paul Curtis. Yeah, he's going to come off.
They looked like they were looking at the screen downstairs, a couple of the docks.
Yeah, it was a bit of a swinging arm from Josh Battle. Nothing too sinister about it. It was a reflex action to try and tackle, but pretty sloppy nonetheless. And yeah, he's sort of reaching for that cheekbone, so hopefully nothing too bad. But yeah, well done again, Nick Larkey, just to bring the ball to ground and give his crummers a chance to be involved.
19-year-old Paul Curtis out of the Melton South Panthers has had a couple of tricks after a scoreless couple of weeks. He gets on the score sheet in a major sense from the restart. Goldstein controls it down. Fighting for it is Jones for the Saints. A fresh airy there from Marshall, and the Roos force it forward, but Howard will repel the other way. The former Port Adelaide defender across to the Saints at the start of 2020. He's been a valuable addition to that defensive unit. Caught himself in two minds there. Got around Zurha. Exited the defensive 50 to Wanganeen Millera. He had the gear stick in neutral when he hit the accelerator last time. This time he puts it into reverse. Backs back behind the mark. And he's just going to kick it long down the line. And it's a nice delivery as well. Marshall presents up and marks just defensive side of the wing for the Saints.
That shoulder strapped, as Lauren mentioned before. High kick from Marshall up towards the forward line. Did King no favours, just kicked it almost as high as he could. Coming in young, might have been taken high, no. Umpire says, I'll have it as he's wrapped up. Left half forward here for St Kilda. Tossed up. Marshall down only as far as Simpkin, who's dragged off his kick. Horn Francis almost took the mark. Zeeble there to mop up. Hand pass to Anderson. His hand pass straight to Gresham, though, who snaps inside 50. And setting himself was Sharman. Went the fist in the end. It's still inside 50 for the Saints. Coming through Gresham. Snap towards the top of the square. Membry turned his opponent inside out. Back onto it. Hill's in an acre of space. That's where he goes. Hits him on the bounce. Hill with a casual snap. Finishes delightfully. And St Kilda answer a couple of North Melbourne goals. 13-7-85 the Saints, 6-5-41 the Roos. The margin back to 44 points after 8 minutes in this final term.
He found some space, didn't he? Brad Hill. He's had a good day. Sir Doug Nichols round. We know this possession number 27. And when you can sneak down and kick a goal and add a goal to that for a bit of cream on the top, he's certainly been at his running best today, Brad Hill.
He was in the firing line a bit last year. He's had a good season, really.
He has, and he's sort of still been moved around a little bit. It's not as though they've got him settled. He's played a bit of that high half forward role, a bit of the wing role. It looks like they're going to give Wanganeen Millera a go on the wing. Today he's found himself back behind the footy, and he's had a nice day out.
Having a good campaign for the Saints. From the restart, Gresham to Jones to Sinclair coming off the back of the square, bounces it inside the forward 50, Long's up to meet it, always energetic Ben Long. He U-turns at the top of the 50, skies it inside the arc. Wood gets upstairs, can't pull it in. Marshall does the roving, snaps around the corner and kicks a very nice goal. Big Rowan Marshall with the front and centre crumb, spun on a dime, hooked it over his shoulder and puts the margin back at 50 points. 14-7-91 the Saints, the Roos 6-5-41. A couple of quick ones for St Kilda.
A lot of the commentary over Ryder and Marshall and their excellence in and around the contest and around the ground, being able to move, but we've seen it from Ryder earlier on today, but just their craftiness around goal is something else. He's a great talent, young Rowan Marshall. Shoulder looks all but fine.
He's back in the ruck in the middle. Sherry reached highest though, down towards Powell, hand pass to Greenwood, now to Simpkin. Simpkin high kick inside 50. Zurha up before acceptances. Didn't take the mark at ground level. Chance now for Curtis. Hand pass good to Zurha. Now to Simpkin, who has a running shot at goal across the face. Wanganeen Millera knocks it through for one behind. 6-6-42 now North Melbourne. 14-7-91 the Saints after 10 minutes in the final term.
Sinclair to bring it in. Disposal number 28 coming up for the Saints. Almost got number 29 as Howard feigned the handoff as he marked the short kick in.
Oh, he's done it a few times today, and he got a 51 time. He sucked his defender in, but he's not the only one across the camp. But I suppose they're just utilising the rules
They are.
As they stand. I just don't like the spirit of it necessarily.
Blood rule here with Flynn Perez coming off. A bit of a claret from the mouth of the youngster.
It's probably in his defence. It's the only time defenders get a bit of knee time. So any time they can show their craftiness, I don't tend to mind.
Ball tossed back into play on the wing here, broadcast side. Tom Hawkins and Luke Ball, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Gresham off the stoppage, kicks to half forward. Riders up to meet it. Paid the mark in the end. The advantage to the Saints. Long took it. Umpire said no, he did pay the mark. So Ryder will go back and have a kick from 55 metres out. We'll see what his options are inside the 50. If King's in the area, you kick it to him. He had 4 Roos to beat. They brought it to ground. Great tackle. Owens wrapped up Turner too high. And the Roos get a free kick from fullback. Turner chips short to Scott.
Short kick is okay to find Walker. Off immediately to Young, who takes a bounce through defending 50 defensive 50. Long kick beyond the wing over the head of Davies Uniacke. Turnover ball here, Windhager, long hand pass back, finds Webster, who'll switch the line of attack, hangs it in the air for Wanganeen Miller. Well done by Horn Francis not to give the free kick away, but Wanganeen Miller was fantastic and had support as well. Looped the hand pass over the top to Jones. Jones short, kick intercepted though, didn't quite reach Long, who gives it to him as well. In frustration, Thomas with a good fist out for a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for St Kilda.
It's a good contest, wasn't it, between 2 top 10 draft picks. Wanganeen Miller just looks so smooth today. Been really impressed by his game.
A couple of South Australians, Horn Francis and Wanganeen Miller. Greenwood gave Jones a backhander there as he got dragged to the ground. Mackenzie's thrown into the turf. Greenwood's on top of him and wins it holding the ball. Greenwood just 4 disposals today. Been struggling to have a big impact in recent weeks, and now 50 for Hugh Greenwood because Mackenzie stood over the football instead of giving it back to him. Meanwhile, Zach Jones is still dazed on the AFL logo. And Greenwood will be marched right to, if not inside the 50. It will be right on the paint where Mackenzie stands the mark.
It's a hard head too, Zach Jones. Just have a look at the replay. I think it was a clash of heads. He copped the back of Hugh Greenwood, who's also got a hard head.
Scott cruises past. He accepts the hand pass from Greenwood and then delivers inside 50 to Simpkin, who just plucks it up off the blades of grass. 40 metres out, 45-degree angle left of centre. Maybe hasn't had quite the same impact as last year, Jai Simpkin, in the early part of this season. 30 disposals or more 8 times last year, just the once so far this year. Coming in for his 5th goal of the campaign, strikes it and strikes it well. Lovely set shot kick from the Roos vice-captain. He is their leader in waiting. And he kicks a nice goal there to narrow the gap to 43 here in the final term. 7-6-48 North Melbourne. The Saints 14-7-91. 14 minutes played, final quarter.
Albeit off the back of a 50-metre penalty, they're starting to get their game going. The way that they can chip and penetrate at the right times. They've looked like they've had a clearer direction in this last quarter. It's been nice ball movement.
St Kilda, Bally would have looked at this as an opportunity for a bit of a percentage boost, considering the margin at 3/4 time. But North, to their credit, have fought hard.
Yeah, they certainly want to play out the quarter. You're right, Well, it's hard to know how much of the Saints' pressure and intensity's backed off a bit. North have had a good little patch here, but yeah, I think Brett Ratton would certainly want them to play it out. They're in no position to be able to be flirting with their form, the Saints.
Sherry in over the top, turn tackler, secondary ball up, and now a free kick going the way of Ryder. So Ryder will look to go long. He can almost go inside 50, instead goes short. He finds Wood.
We'll bye next week, the Saints, so they might as well run it out. Plenty of time to rest after this one.
Wood inboard to Howard. Howard further inboard, just forward of the centre circles to Patton. He's got Battle out wide if he wants him. Goes a bit more direct. 15-metre pass. Finds Long. Long just turns and goes long himself to the top of the square. Membry a flyer. Punched away from him. Crouch got rid of his opponent. Dropped the ball though. Chance now for McDonald. He's taken by Crouch in a strong tackle and held up at the top of the square.
North Melbourne next week with an ever-improving Gold Coast Suns before the Giants heading into their bye. Giants pretty good against Brisbane yesterday, only going down by 14 points. Ball up at fullback for North Melbourne. Quick hand pass from Davies Uniacke to Greenwood, who exits the defensive 50. Almost measured it for Powell, who ran back with the flight, had it slip through his grasp, and it goes out for a throw-in. Right half forward for the Saints. They kicked 6 goals in that third term to bust it wide open. Margin at 51 points at three-quarter time. North with 3 goals to the Saints 2 here in the final term. And have been okay as Greenwood again applies a bit more pressure around the stoppage. Wraps up Seb Ross. And we'll have a ball up this time just inside the boundary line.
Tossed up Marshall down towards Windhager, who couldn't take the ball. In fact, he picks it from between Greenwood's legs, tried to burst away and ran out of room. So ball will be tossed back in right half forward. St Kilda currently leading by 43 points. 16 played, final term. Toss back into play. Marshall in a wrestle, got it down to Crouch, who might have had his head taken. He did. So a free kick for too high against Thomas. Hand pass to the running Hill around the back. Hit that with pace. Now goes inboard. Long kick. And right at one grab, not quite the second. Long hand pass back into congestion. Sharman taken in a tackle. Ball going nowhere. Again held up inside. St Kilda's attacking 50. 30 out from goal.
Around the grounds, early stages, first term at the MCG. Calvin Collingwood yet to score. Massive crowd at the G from all reports. Up they go. Marshall wins it down. Sherry relays the tackle and a ball up. Pretty hard to find space on the train. Don't know how you're going to get there, Maisie, straight after this. Up they go. Marshall hooks it over his head. Turner exits the defensive 50 for the Roos. High kick to the wing. Battle knocks it away from Goldstein. That's over and out for a throw-in just forward of the wing. St Kilda into attack on the broadcast side. 18 minutes gone, final turn. The Saints by 43 points. Joel Peterson and Andrew Mays calling it for you. Tom Hawkins and Luke Ball, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
Toss back into play. Ryder palmed it down only as far as Thomas, who's taken in a tackle. Held to him. Sting slowly going out of this one. Sherry almost grabbed it out of the ruck. Horn Francis missed the ball, then became the tackler. Mackenzie's going nowhere. Thought he might have got the free kick for a dangerous tackle.
Powerful kid, isn't he?
Yeah.
He likes tackling too. I like that about him.
Thomas with the clearance. Kicks it end over end towards the boundary. Away from Goldstein, away from Battle. And the umpire says toss it in.
It's always a really good sign, I reckon, when a side that has been well and truly outplayed still communicates. You can see Jai Simpkin, you can see Goldie there communicating, Jack Zeeble coming up to the stoppage now. It's a great sign, even though they've been clearly outplayed today, that they're willing to keep communicating right to the end of the game.
Boundary umpire slings it back into play. Ryder wins it down to Horn Francis, who runs straight into Jones. Not going anywhere. Up they go once more. Goldstein down this time. Horn Francis taken high. Free kick on the edge of the 50 here for the Roos. Assesses the options. Spears it inside. It's a poor kick and Mackenzie cuts it off easily for St Kilda. Chips short to Ross. Of course, they're still to get Hunter Clark back, the Saints. They left Jack Billings out of the side this afternoon, so they've got some selection pressure. It's maybe a luxury that North Melbourne doesn't have. As Mackenzie wheels away, awkward left foot kick, wobbles its way toward the boundary line. Sharman kept it in, handball to Jones, who tried to toe the chalk, but he stepped out in front of the interchange gates as well. You'd think that Hunter Clark Bawley is well within their best 22.
Certainly on last year's form. Yeah, unfortunately we haven't seen him to this point, but yeah, he adds another bit of class to that midfield area for the Saints. So yeah, nice position to be in.
Big tap the way of Ross. Hand pass to Mackenzie, who's stripped of it. Paul Francis is running this out really strongly. A couple of big tackles in this final term. Some good signs here for the North Melbourne youngster. Kick over the top is good too to Simpkin, who himself has run this out well. Simpkin inboard, short, Powell, caught to play on, hit the ground running, and then into the pocket. He ushers a couple of forwards. Larkey late to get there, forced to spoil. Front and centre, Thomas. He's taken over the boundary line, escorted that time by Sinclair. Ball to be tossed in inside North Melbourne's attacking 50.
23,464 in here this afternoon at Docklands. Majority of them pretty happy Saints fans. 43 points to the good in this home fixture. Zurhaar reads it nicely off the tap, shoots it goalward, leaves it narrow. Minor score, Cam Zurhaar with 1 goal, 3 on the afternoon. He's produced some chances, hasn't been able to make the most of them. Margin is 42 points now. As Howard ran outside the goal square and then ran back into it before he took his kick.
Well, as you said, Hawk, he's an extraordinary runner, Brad Hill, but geez, had some space to run around in today. It's been a perfect sort of day for him. I haven't seen anyone go anywhere near him when the Saints have had the ball.
Secure work it out wide to left half back. Wood pulls his kick just over the head of Wanganeen Miller, who was able to get at least one to it, then provides some pressure at ground level, sees it over for a boundary throw-in. 91 plays 49. Margin is 42 points. 21 played fourth quarter here on Grandstand AFL. Goldstein works it down. Long hit that strongly though. Spun in the tackle to Sharman, who gave it to Jones. Jones short, intelligent kick, put it out in front of Membry, who takes it on his chest, 30 out directly in front.
Been a good inclusion, Zach Jones, over the last month or so. Isn't he? See him a heap early on in the season, but adds that hardness to the midfield that we know that in winter months and heading towards the pointy end of the season, you need a big, strong, battle-hardened midfield. He certainly gives them that.
I like him too. He plays off the half-back flank at times, can go forward, and he's got that nice touch of class, being able to hit Tim Membry for a regulation set shot. But yeah, you're right, Paulie. He's going to be a fantastic addition. Wait till he's got a couple of months of footy under his belt. We're going to see some great footy out of Zach Jones.
Membry kicks Trawley. His afternoon gets better as it gets longer. 15-7-97 now the Saints. 7-7-49 the Roos. We've played 22 minutes in this final term.
It's a pretty even midfield group that they're building now, and even today no one's really stood out. Hawk, I think I might actually handball you the votes, to be honest. It's a tough one for your first game, but yeah, Gresham 24, Crouch 23, Ross 21, Jones up to 19 now. So yeah, Wanganeen Miller out in the wing, 15. Probably had the bigger ball winners have been across half back. They've been able to have so much space to chip it around in. So nice even performance from the Saints mids.
You're always good at getting it out of a contest, Bally, but that was a very sharp hand pass.
We'll do it together.
Gresham runs the arc around the stoppage, gives and then receives a hand pass, kicks to half forward, waits it nicely for Sharman. Zurhaar got there just in the nick of time, but front on contact as he did so. A couple of young Roos fans hanging over the fence down there as the ball's flicked back to Cooper Sharman. That seemed to be particularly perturbed about the outcome of this afternoon. Sharman kicks inside the 50. King the target, gets in the wrestle with Walker. It's fisted away through the hands of Gresham, so too of Taylor. And it'll be thrown back into play right half forward for the Saints. 2-1 to the Blues at the MCG, leading Collingwood one straight. Goals to Curnow and Durden for the Blues and to Jamie Elliott for the Pies. That's where our Northern Territory audience is headed next here on Grandstand.
Davies-Uniacke from the stoppage, got the ball trapped under him, and then a couple of Saints for company. Marshall picks himself up, as does Davies-Uniacke, gives the ball back to the umpire. Right half forward here for the Saints. Tapped down by Sherry. Good little hand pass inboard. Horne-Francis ran at it. Didn't take the mark. Now Simpkin, Horne-Francis as well, turned tackler. Winhagel got out of it, and then his hand pass went nowhere as he hit the ground. Hill clean at ground level. Kick was okay, and he found Patton, but his kick wasn't going inside 50, over the head, and marked by Walker, who flares it to right half back, and Larkey, a long way from home, takes the mark.
So Nick Larkey with just his second touch of the day coming up. He has had a tough afternoon. Short to Flynn Perez. Good to see him getting some continuity in his footy after a couple of knee injuries. Kicks long down the line. Goldstein through his hands, and then it's run across the boundary line. Another good tackling effort from Anderson of North Melbourne. Tackle number 13 of the day for Jed. We'll have it thrown back in right half forward for the Roos. They've kicked 3 goals, 3 here in this final term. The Saints with 3 goals straight, so David Noble's men holding a slender advantage in the final quarter stakes. Perez spins into the contest, taken down by Gresham, not getting out of that. Ball in next to the front point of the centre square.
Ball to be tossed up. Marshall and Sherry engage. Zeeble in his 250th comes flying through. Jones the other way, wraps him up. And another ball up at right half forward. 48 points the margin in favour of the Saints. Tossed up. No clear hand pass there, although Gresham somehow got it to Marshall. Off to Jones. Off a step to half forward. There's a whistle on play here. Now it might be for something down the field, and Membry will receive it. He kicks short. It's okay too to McKenzie. McKenzie looking for the kick inside 50. Went about 8 metres to Ross, who had to flare it by hand back to Membry. Cute kick is okay too to Owens, who takes it in the left forward pocket.
I think it was young Horn Francis who might have given the free kick away, the downfield free kick.
And then I
certainly plays on the edge.
Jack Zeeble came in and gave him some instructions in no uncertain terms, I think you'd say.
He did. Chance to kick his third here.
Yeah.
Third of his career, third on the day.
Couple this afternoon in the third term, 2 in a minute. That one's hooking badly. In fact, just sneaks in 4 behind, does it? I feel we'll be heading upstairs just to clarify this one.
Speaking of Jason Horn-Francis, he looks like he wants a body today. He's got, what's he got, 4 minutes left in the game. He looks an angry man, an angry ant.
Reminds me of a teammate of yours. He's at the other end of his career, Hawk, just the way he plays. He's a Paddy Dangerfield clone, I think.
Yeah.
His size and his power.
Socks up too.
Socks up, yeah.
He is. We obviously watched a fair bit of Paddy over in his younger days over in South Australia, but you're right, he's so strong through the hips, and his appetite for the contest and getting in and getting dirty is easy to see why he's been touted as such a young prospect, and why he's come in and we've seen glimpses of it throughout this year, that appetite for the footy.
So if they're using the 3 angles we saw on the scoreboard there, how they told that was a behind from those 3 angles, I've got no idea. In fact, it's out of bounds on the full.
Yep.
So they've made an actual decision on that one. It wasn't umpire's call. So I hope they had a different angle, because there's no way you could have told from those 3. North Melbourne still have the ball though now through Scott, who has it in his defensive 50.
Why we're using the technology to detect something that it isn't able to detect, I'm not 100% sure. Anderson through the centre now. Greenwood links up by hand out wide with Davies Uniacke. Provides some run for the Roos. Kicks inside the 50. Zerha the target. Howard the spoil. The spoil king in the AFL. Had 100 of them coming into the game. Racks up another one there. Patton links up with Sinclair and Hill. And now McKenzie's got it inside the back 50 for the Saints. They've done it pretty comfortably this afternoon. St Kilda, they led by 18 at quarter time. 3-goal burst to end the opening term. Only the 1 goal in the second term, but they kicked 6 in the third quarter. The margin now 48 points as Wood kicks wide and finds Ross, who's also having a good season for St Kilda, gathering plenty of the footy. He got hemmed in there by Perez. Handball turned over. Davies Uniacke away for the Roos. Doesn't see a lot inside 50. Pulls the kick. Oh, Larky's dropped it. One of his better opportunities today. He couldn't stick the mark. And then Sinclair ran into the Zerha tackle just inside the 50 for the Roosaballer.
Sometimes it's just not your day ahead of the footy, and today might be that for Nick. We commented on his contest work, but unfortunately, when it rains, it pours, and the roof's closed. But it's unfortunately raining mistakes for Nick Larkey today.
Gresham, the hand pass over the top, missed the target, out of bounds. Right half forward here for North Melbourne with a late chance. Toss back into play, Goldstein. High tap towards Simpkin. Away from him though, Gresham. Gresham now towards the wing. Overcooked the kick a little. Hayden dropped what he should have taken. Allowed long into the contest. His hand pass is picked off though by Scott, who goes towards Horn Francis. Takes the mark on his chest at right half forward and 50 as well. Gresham not happy with that decision.
And so he should be. What more can he do?
He tried to basically stand still as soon as he arrived on the scene. So the umpire's obviously called stand and he's still in motion. Bit hard to stop yourself.
So what? He's come from the protected area.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a mistake. Yeah, it is. Anyway, a consolation prize here.
Couple of goals in his career so far. Jason Horne-Francis, he's worked hard this afternoon. From 25 out, slide angle to the right, he hits the post. 7-8-50 North Melbourne, 15-7-97 the Saints after 31 minutes in this final quarter. Long kick out to Battle is okay. He chips back inboard to Webster.
So the Tasmanians got it inside the defensive 50 for the Saints. Just saunters across the back arc. Kicks to Wangadeen Miller, who's had a bit of it out on that outer side. Hit the game up on a couple of occasions today to Patton, who's been good. He marks just inside the boundary, gets a shove from Simpkin, but keeps his feet. Chips short inboard to Hill, who's just been gliding around the turf this afternoon. As Tom Hawkins has said, he is a pleasure to watch go about his business.
Won't have a scratch or a bruise on him, Brad Hill, after today's game. He's covered some serious Ks, but...
hasn't had many go with him. The Saints work it forward again pretty methodically. Marshall to Ross. Left foot kick inside the 50. Long the target. It'll get out the back toward Mackenzie. Powell gathered cleanly for North. Thumps it back the other way. Zeeble gets upstairs. Can't take the mark. Handball to Anderson. And now to Hayden, who chips it over the top. Nice little deft kick. Finds Curtis at right half back for North Melbourne.
Curtis pauses on his kick, then rifles one. Just didn't get over the head of Wangadeen Miller. Hand pass immediately to Sinclair. Kick inside 50 will favour Membry, who takes the mark. Plays on. Hand pass to Gresham, who dribbles through the goal. They're very happy about that, the Saints, as he kicks his second, and St Kilda now have 16. 16-7, 103. To North Melbourne 7-7-49. So this margin starting to open up late in this final quarter. 32 minutes gone.
Yeah, love the selflessness.
Did you give that one off, mate? Late ago?
I tried to give one yesterday to a first gamer. So look, I probably would have. I mean,
you're very good at that.
Philosophy of a forward, and obviously Tim's got the same outlook, and we've seen it with him hitting up Brad Hill earlier in the quarter. But to find someone in a better position that's going to make an absolute certainty of it, it's always good to give them, I reckon.
It's had a good day, Gresham.
Yeah.
Having a good year, coming back into the team after the Achilles injury last year. Ross goes inside the 50. Here he is again, Jade Gresham, skidding into mark just inside the 50 in front of Kane Turner. He might have the last kick of the game, 34 minutes into the last. Going to play on here, gets to the paint, and he didn't get his kick away in time. There's no cherry on the cake for the Saints. There's a little bit of spite after the siren as well, but it is a big win for St Kilda, who improved to 8-3 on the season, and they've won 3 in a row. They take the Chocolates by 53. Was really the second term that set it up for the Saints. They led by 26 at the half and things looked pretty convincing, but they kicked 6 goals, 2 in the second term, where they've done so much of their good work this season to blow it open. 3 goals to match Max King paced the Saints, and they move closer. They move into, at least for now, the top 4. 16-7, 103 the Saints. North Melbourne 7-8-50. The final term running right on 34 minutes, save the Jade Gresham kick at the end. St Kilda kicking 4 goals straight in the final term to North Melbourne's 3 goals 4. So although they led the last quarter at least for much of it, North Melbourne, they couldn't eke out a win in that final term, and they go down by 53 points. 3 goals to Max King for the Saints, 2 to Gresham. The first 2 of Mitch Owens' career came in quick succession in the third term, and 2 to Tim Membry. Goals to Hill, to Ryder, to Ross, to Windhager, to Marshall, to Mackenzie, to Sharman among the goal kickers for the Saints. For the Roos, it was 2 to Goldstein, 1 goal, 3 to Cam Zurhar, a goal to Jack Zeeble in game 250, a goal to Jed Anderson, to Simpkin and to Curtis. But the Saints 53-point winners. In the other game that's in progress at the moment, 26 minutes into the opening term, it's Collingwood 3-2-20 to Carlton 2-1-13. For our Northern Territory audience, you're headed to that at half past the hour. For our Adelaide, South Australia audience, you're headed to the Adelaide Oval for Port Adelaide and Essendon. Our experts on Grandstand AFL throughout, Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins. Pretty convincing in the end for the Saints, gents.
It was. You're right. It's the result that we probably expected coming here today. North put up a fight. I think we said at three-quarter time. I think their work in and around the contest, when it's in the clinches, they're not bad. Their issue is, unfortunately, when the ball sort of breaks out from that, they get hurt in space, they get hurt on the transition. They really struggle to move the ball from their back half to their front half, which means they're a low inside 50 team, which makes it hard, obviously, for their forwards to have an impact. But all the Saints' pressure set it up in that second quarter in particular, and they carried it out for the rest of the game. And they're building a pretty strong brand, and as we spoke about as well, a pretty strong and deep squad. They can call on guys. They've got some nice role players, some nice young players coming in and playing their role, and they're ticking along pretty nicely at the moment.
Yeah, look, I was really impressed. I thought in the first 3 quarters, I thought North Melbourne sort of played into the hands of St Kilda, allowed the ball to fumble and get on the outside where St Kilda's midfielders just dominated. They were able to win, transition and kick the ball inside 40-50. So
nice moment here, Tom, with Jack Zeeble being chaired off in game 250.
Yep.
Jai Simpkin and Luke McDonald chairing off the Roos captain in his 250th game.
Yeah, and the Saints lining up, showing their respect too. It is one of the good parts of our game, I think, for guys that, and he has been a warrior. Yeah, that's not that's a hard 250 games. There's some bruises and some miles on that odometer. So good on him. Obviously not the result not a memorable one for him, but love that plays the game the right way. Jack Zeeble, a terrific person in footy as well.
Absolutely, he is. You've run into the Saints once already, Tom. You've got them, I think, in round 21 down there at the Cattery as well later on in the year. They look like they're building something nice, aren't they? That we've known them as a real pressure side, but we see them move the ball with a bit of polish and a bit of finesse. They look like they're adding some layers to their game every week.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was really impressed with today was once they won it on the outside, their ability to be able to spread, get forward and then kick the ball inside 50. I've played against them once here. I've seen them play live here once. I'm looking forward to getting them down to Catland where it's a different story, different conditions. But yeah, look, I thought it was a really, really even performance right across the ground. Up forward, Max King competed. I like what I saw from Ben Long, just being able to be a bit of a link man. But they were really, really good all over the ground.
I think when you look at the structure of a premiership team, Melbourne, of course, the benchmark clearly at the moment. The bookends in place. You've got good key position players. Like the Saints are starting to tick that box at both ends of the ground with Howard, the general back there, Wilkie starting to become a really bona fide player in the competition, and at the other end, obviously King, who's getting better and better, and Memory, and through the middle of the ground, and then the rucks, the dual ruck at the moment. That's another box at the moment. As long as Ryder can stay healthy, Marshall we know is a emerging star, a good, strong and deep midfield. And then some really good role players around the fringes. Yeah, I think they're still a little way off, and we saw that when they played Melbourne about a month ago against the very, very best. But I think when you look at how to structure up a successful team, they're well on their way, the Saints.
And a couple of the younger players, we saw Owens show flashes today. Yep. Wangadeen Miller as well, Windhager. I mean, the 3 youngsters that are in there. We spoke about the fact that Clark's still to come back into this team. Maybe Billings can find his way back into their best 22 as well. But there's some upside to those younger players too.
Yeah, and that speaks to depth too. And Hawk, you've been part of great teams. You need a squad of 30 to get through the whole year and to be, to keep pressure on spots, integrity at selection, and that's what they're building. They're reasonably healthy at the moment. Hunter Clark's probably the one. that comes back. Nick Caulfield's out for the year, and obviously Dan Hannery is a bit of a forgotten man. But yeah, you need a squad of 28, 30 to be able to call on and to have confidence in throughout the course of the year and towards the point end of the year, and that's something they're starting to do nicely as well.
And those three you mentioned as well, they've got pace. That's the other thing I probably forgot to mention. I like so much about Brad Hill's game, but it's the pace that they provide in the side that makes them such important members of the side.
And they've got the bye, of course, St Kilda coming up as well, so a little bit of a chance to refresh and maybe, on the other side of the bye, get a few players back, but they've certainly got the luxury that maybe North Melbourne don't, in terms of a lot of players putting their hand up to be selected through the 22, through the VFL program as well. And they, no doubt there'll be a few pretty sore bodies after a bruising few weeks that'll enjoy the bye, and then on the other side of it they run straight into Brisbane with a trip to the Gabba, so it's going to be a rude awakening from the week off for St Kilda, as Nazaya Wangaleen Miller, he ran the outer side a few times. He's now just jogging down the AstroTurf on the broadcast side. So too is Max King, who's going to be a favourite. You mentioned, Tom, that you haven't watched a lot of football as a spectator. When you watch Max King, what do you see? What can you take Saints fans into in terms of what you see from him as a key position prospect?
It's pretty tantalising. I mean, as you said, I've watched him. I'm a keen observer of young key forwards, and I think he's a star in the making. I was really keen to watch him away from just the lead mark kick, because he's got pace. His ability to be able to use his body in a contest isn't quite there, but God, a couple of times his long arms, being able to throw one out, control the ball down to an area that he knows it's going to, and then get back onto it and finish as well, was really impressive. So a young man at, I'm not even sure how old is he 20?
21.
21, wow.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So we're going to see the very best of Max for 10 or 12 years, and it's going to be a great show.
Plays his 50th game, first game after the bye against the Brisbane Lions. So the Saints winners by 53 points, 16-7, 103 to 7-8-50. They cracked the ton for the third time in this season. They moved to 8-3 headed into the week off. Lauren Borden is in the rooms for us on Grandstand AFL. The Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander flags draped across the Indigenous players' loz, which is a very nice touch.
They had them around the circle, the flags, getting the players ready for Sir Doug Nicholls' round to celebrate. Family and friends allowed in for the first time during this COVID time, so they're all here to witness this song.
When the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, I don't want to be a St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, I want to be a St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in.
So a very happy St Kilda side. We'll get an interview from the Saints room shortly. We're with you for about another 6 minutes before we send you your separate ways on Grandstand. Before we get a chat from the Saints rooms, we might do the votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year. How do we end up splitting this between you two at the back of the box?
Well, we put our heads together. I think 3 to Tom for his first game.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good on debut.
Yes, the review will be favourable, I think.
I would have thought so. I would have thought there'd be an invitation back at some stage for his third game live outside of his playing career. But the game was pretty well done at half time, wasn't it? I think the result. So we sort of looked back into that first half and to who set it up. It sort of opened up in that last quarter, and there were numbers here, there, and everywhere. But we're going to give one vote to Callum Wilkie off the back of that. I've got here Wilkie/Sinclair, but I'm going to make the call, Hawk. I'm going to give one vote to Callum. I just thought his second quarter, when the game was arguably still up for grabs a little bit, he was just a brick wall across half-back. I think he took 4 contested marks directly from North Melbourne entries when they were starting to threaten a little bit. So I'm going to give, he took 12 marks all up, 19 possessions. But I just thought when the game was 6 of those intercept possessions. So when the game was up for grabs, I thought he was dominant across half-back. So apology to Sinclair. Going to give 2 to Jade Gresham. 30 possessions in the end, 15 of those contested, 7 clearances. 7 score involvements, and then got a bit of cream with a couple of goals towards the end there. He's starting to get back to his very best form. And we're going to give 3 to Brad Hill. So Doug Nicholls round. The day was set up for him really across half back, as I said a couple of times throughout the call. He was able to utilise his one-wood, his real strength, and he just ran all over them. And 33 possessions and a goal for Brad Hill, 6 inside 50 is a terrific game.
Nice work, gents. We've got about 3.5 minutes before we're sending our Northern Territory audience to Carlton and Collingwood, and our South Australian audience to Port Adelaide and Essendon. Before that, Lauren Borden has got one of the key Saints players from today's win, Loz.
You did just speak about Brad Hill. I've got him with me. I mean, just looking at these rooms right now, it's the first time family and friends have been allowed in here. It's Sir Doug Nicholls round. Take me through, what it's like in the rooms right now and what you're feeling.
To be honest, I forgot about it. And then when I come down, I saw all these people. I was like, oh, yeah. I remember they saying that all the family's allowed to come back in. Oh, yeah, it feels like that footy's back again, you know what I mean? Like, since we've been playing footy, we've always had friends and family in here after a win, and yeah, it's the best feeling when you get your family in here and everyone gets to celebrate together. And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see it back.
No, big smile from you, and take me onto the field. Obviously, it was a pretty comfortable performance out there. We're in control throughout the day. How did you feel as a side?
Yeah, we probably didn't start that well, but then we got going. But yeah, I thought in the back line we played some good footy, especially Wilkie and Doug down there, the big fellas, and Battle. They stood up tall for us, and then allowed the likes of Sinclair and myself to get up high and get involved. And yeah, it was good to sort of get that connection with Sinks and start going playing well together. And that's what we want to do, both of us getting up high and getting involved with the play. So it was good to see.
It is a really good defensive unit that's been moving along quite well throughout the first half of this season. Have you been ticking the goals that you would have liked to have seen heading into the bye?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great start to the year. Obviously, I think 8-3 now at the halfway mark. So, yeah, it's going to be good to have a bye, have a little bit of a rest, and yeah, we've got to reset and go again and have a strong second half of the year. And everyone wants to make the top 4 because you give yourself 2 opportunities to make it to the big stage. But yeah, we'll reset and hopefully we can have keep continuing the good form we're in.
And can you tell me a little bit about Mitch Owens? Obviously had to wait since round 1 to come back in for his second game, slotted a couple of goals, and looks like a lively player and will become something for the Saints.
Yeah, we've been obviously he's a young fella, started in, and some older boys came back in, so they sort of pushed him a little bit out of the side. But he's gone back down to Sandy, and he's just been performing week in, week out, and being able to do that, playing midfield and also going forward and hitting the scoreboard. And he did that tonight, and yeah, he's a big body. If you see him, he's probably 90 kilos already, the young fella. But the likes of him, Marcus Windhager, Nazaya, these younger boys coming through, making us a better team. So it's good.
Thanks very much for your time, Brad Hill. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Brad Hill there with Lauren Borden, scooped the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year after St Kilda's 53-point win over North Melbourne here at Docklands. Luke Ball and Tom Hawkins, thanks very much for your company. Tom, great to be with you. Hope you enjoyed your first crack at a bit of analysis from upstairs.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed the ride, and yeah, in the end, it was a great game.
It was. We'll certainly have you back, Bally.
I think he's still got a few years to go, isn't he? out on the grass.
We don't want to see you too often just yet.
I think next time, I should have said, just happy for you to forget how hard it is out there when you're sitting up here. And next time you can be a little bit more scathing a few of the players. But very good, Hawk.
Absolutely.
And we didn't talk about 09 or 11 either, so appreciate that.
Got it in right at the end. Thanks to Lauren Borden on the boundary, to Stu pushing the buttons here, to Jonesy back in the studio, Andrew Mays, who's got a train or a tram to catch over to the MCG. That's where our Northern Territory audience is headed, to Carlton and Collingwood. It's the Pies by 15 points early in the second term. For our South Australian audience, it's Port Adelaide and Essendon from the Adelaide Oval. Plenty more footy to come across the course of your weekend. The Saints big winners by 53 here at Docklands. Enjoy your afternoon.